Chapter 360. Both their martial souls and martial techniques were unleashed. Surging blood chi spiraled around them. The light was blinding and ghostly shadows overlapped each other. The two of them had unleashed their strongest powers. Those who were able to make it onto the 100 Kings ranking board, even if luck played a large role in the beginning, were extremely powerful. However, these two geniuses were forced by Tianyang to join forces and unleash their strongest killing moves just to deal with one person. Kill him! Kill him! At the foot of the mountain, someone was yelling and looking at Tianyang with hatred. This was the person who had managed to survive after Tianyang's previous attack. At this moment, everyone was filled with hatred for Tianyang. However, they had forgotten that they were the ones who had been blinded by greed and tried to kill Tianyang. Tianyang could not be bothered with such people. Instead, he focused on the two killing moves in front of him. Not bad, as expected of someone on the 100 Kings ranking board. However, if your right arm was not crippled, this move would be even stronger. Tianyang looked at Lu Renjiao and chuckled. Hearing this, Lu Renjiao was instantly enraged. He roared, "How dare you be so arrogant when you are about to die? Die!" In the next moment, the bloody slayer axe shone with a terrifying blood chi. The surrounding blood chi burned crazily. Lu Renjiao's strength immediately soared to the maximum. When Mu Chunfeng saw this, he immediately unleashed his strongest martial technique. His eyes flashed with a murderous intent. They knew that if Tianyang did not die, they, who wanted to kill Tianyang, would definitely die. Die! The giant axe slashed down furiously. The long saber split the air. With an incomparably terrifying aura, the two of them charged towards Tianyang. Not bad, not bad. As senior students of Sky Blue College's outer yard, you are very qualified. Seeing this, Tianyang chuckled. The killing sword in his hand shone with a blood-red light. Within the blood-red light, there were stars twinkling. In that case, I won't let you die in vain. Tianyang smiled. In the next moment, the killing sword in his hand shone with starlight. Star-bearing sword, I'll send you on your way. In the next moment, starlight flashed as Tianyang slashed out with his sword. An extremely violent power instantly shattered the attacks of the two. The sky firmament sword flickered, and a sword mark that looked like a river of stars streaked across the sky, ruthlessly chopping down on the bodies of the two. Pooh! Blood spurted out of their mouths, and their auras were extremely weak. Seeing this, Mu Chunfeng and Lu Renjiao's eyes were filled with disbelief and horror. This sword strike had actually easily shattered their attacks and almost killed them. The pressure of this sword firmly locked onto them. Even if they tried to escape, they would not be able to escape from this sword. Let's do it! Lu Renjiao roared madly. Ignoring the weakened chi and blood in his body, his eyes turned red and the blood in his body burned. Burning blood! Slay a god! Lu Renjiao roared as blood flames burned. His aura was about to break through the shackles of the Dao Fire Realm and reach the first firmament of the Dao Fire Realm. Seeing this, Mu Chunfeng also burned his blood and was infinitely close to the first firmament of the Dao Fire Realm. The giant axe and the long saber slashed down crazily. However, in front of the sword radiance that was as bright as a river of stars, it was all in vain. The star-bearing sword could bury the stars, even the stars in the 9 heavens. Destroy! Tianyang shouted coldly. Dozens of drops of sky origin true essence burned crazily. In the next moment, the river of stars' sword radiance exploded once again. Whether it was the god-slaying axe or the ghost shadow slash, the so-called Earth-rank martial skills and Earth-rank martial souls, in front of this sword, they could only die. Boom! An incomparably terrifying explosion rang out in the air. The Milky Way sword light effortlessly shattered the two attacks, and the remaining power swept over the bodies of the two, directly chopping them into pieces. Bang! With a loud bang, Lu Renjiao and Mu Chunfeng exploded. Pieces of flesh flew everywhere and their bodies turned into a cloud of blood mist. Their souls still retained a trace of consciousness. Just as they wanted to escape, Tianyang firmly held on to them, and they could not escape. Tianyang, if you kill us, my big brother will not let you go. In Tianyang's palm, Lu Renjia's soul roared crazily. My big brother is the 6th on the 10 seniors list. Lu Daofu, if you kill me, my big brother will definitely kill you. My big brother's strength has already reached the first heaven of the Dao Fire realm. It will be easy for him to kill you, a mere peak 8th level origin transformation martial artist. Lu Renjia shouted crazily. However, Tianyang's expression did not change when he heard this. He quietly looked at the two remnant souls. Mu Chenfeng's gaze was also vicious. He threatened, my Mu family has great power in Sky Blue College. If you kill me, I guarantee that you will not be able to move a single step in Sky Blue College. The two of them laughed wantonly and looked fearless. Indeed, whether it was Lu Daofu or the Mu family, they were existences that ordinary students and even geniuses did not dare to provoke. If it were anyone else, even if they were robbed, they could only swallow their anger. However, Tianyang had been reborn. What he wanted was to do whatever he wanted. He wanted to conquer the entire world. If Lu Daofu from the Mu family dared to stop him, he would kill him with a sword. Therefore, Tianyang only laughed coldly when he heard this. Are you done with your nonsense? If you are, you can be on your way. In the next moment, before the two of them could say another word, the Annihilation's spiritual fire rose and burned their souls to ashes. At this point, Lu Renjia, the 11th on the 100 monarchs ranking, and the legitimate son of the Mu family of Sky Blue College, Mu Chenfeng, their souls were scattered. After dealing with the two of them, Tianyang also kept their space bag. Then, he looked at the remaining person, who was trembling all over, and swung his sword expressionlessly. Tianyang would never show mercy to those who wanted to kill him. In the Yundang mountain range, only Tianyang, who was at the peak of the mountain, and the trembling white wolf, who was watching the battle in the dark. What is this scroll? Tianyang turned around and stretched out his hand curiously. He passed through the golden light beam and grabbed the ancient scroll. Ha ha! Tianyang is the first on the genius ranking of the outer yard, but it seems like he's only SOSO. It's been 10 hours since the battle started, and those geniuses have already started to show their strength. I didn't expect Tianyang to only have a dozen points. Now, he has dropped to around 3,000. In the outer yard, Elder Zhao looked at the floating ranking in front of him and laughed loudly. When the surrounding elders heard this, they were puzzled. How could the first on the genius ranking of the outer yard be so weak? The outer yard dean's face darkened. Could it be that Tianyang was not the Sword King Empyrean Pole? In the next moment, the entire ranking suddenly flashed and was covered by a vortex. This was a large-scale change in the ranking. Seeing this, Elder Zhao was slightly puzzled. How long had it been since the battle started? Could it be that many people had died? However, it had only been a short while. That was impossible. In the next moment, the ranking returned to normal. Immediately, the elders' faces changed drastically, and they cried out in surprise. Quick! Look at Tianyang! When Elder Zhao heard that, his face changed slightly, and he quickly looked over. He saw that the new ranking had changed. Tianyang was no longer at 3,000, but another disciple. On the 100 monarchs ranking, 3 people had disappeared. On the 10 monarchs ranking, the original 10th monarch's ranking had been pushed to the first position. As for Tianyang's name, it was Chapter 361. Tianyu on Secret Map? In a secluded place, Tianyang looked at the ancient scroll in his hand. His expression changed slightly. It is said that this trial ground used to be a small world attached to Sky Continent many years ago. There were many sects and forces in it. However, as time went by, they were destroyed and moved away. In the end, it became a mystery land under the control of Sky Blue College. However, there are many relics of sects and even inheritances of experts in this trial ground. Could the Tianyuan secret map be one of them? On the Tianyuan secret treasure map, there were many twisting and turning mountain ranges, and there were also some oceans at the edges. It was obvious that this was the land of the 9 states in the trial ground. However, the most important place was not marked. Half of it was missing. Therefore, the Tianyuan secret map was useless. Wait. Mu Chenfeng wanted to get the Tianyuan secret map even at the cost of falling out with Sky Blue College. Could it be that he has the other half of it? Tianyang's expression changed slightly. He looked at the space bags of Mu Chenfeng, Lu Renjiao, and Xiao Qingshan. Previously, he had flipped through and merged their Sky Blue outer tokens into his own Sky Blue outer token, but he hadn't noticed. Now, Tianyang's points soared from more than 10 to more than 700. He was now ranked 9th on the list of 10 martial artists. Moreover, he was only a few points away from the 8th place. However, the gap between him and the 10th place was huge. Not to mention the 10th place on the list of 10 martial artists, who had been pushed to the 1st place on the list of 100 kings. Thinking of this, Tianyang reached out and grabbed Mu Chenfeng's space bag. He opened it and found an ancient scroll that was similar to the Tianyuan secret map. He took it out, unfolded it, and spread it on the ground. The map that took up half of the scroll perfectly matched the Tianyuan secret map in his hand. As expected, Tianyang chuckled. Then, he put the 2 maps together. A complete Tianyuan secret map appeared in his hand. However, the Tianyuan secret treasury doesn't seem to be in the Azure Prefecture, but in another prefecture. Tianyang's expression changed slightly. Looking at the Tianyuan secret treasure map in his hand, he chuckled. Then, let's go directly. According to the topography of the mountains and rivers, the Tianyuan secret treasure was located in Yangzhou, which was connected to Qingzhou. Yangzhou was the largest and had the most fortuitous opportunities and treasures. Out of the top 10 geniuses, 4 of them were from Yangzhou. If the original 10th place of the 10 Venerables list that was pushed down by Tianyang was included, then there were 5 of the 10 Venerables in Yangzhou. This included Xiao Hongqian, who was ranked 1st on the 10 seniors ranking, and Nangongzhen, who was ranked 3rd on the 10 seniors ranking. Ordinary students didn't dare to go there. After all, there were countless experts there. If ordinary cultivators went there, they would only die. Yangzhou, huh? There are still people from the Nangong family there. If that's the case, even if there's no Tianyuan secret treasure, I have to go there. Tianyang chuckled and put away the Tianyuan secret treasure map. He stuck out his tongue and licked his lip. A dangerous light flashed in his eyes. He and the Nangong family were mortal enemies. Subsequently, Tianyang took out his spirit stones and set up a temporary spirit gathering formation around him. Then, he began to cultivate. The spirit qi in the training ground was abundant. Every minute and every second was precious. Although he couldn't break through to the 9th level of the origin transformation stage in a short period of time, he could still condense 1 more drop of Tianyuan True Yuan. Bastard! Bastard! Damn it! In a mountain range in Yangzhou, a young man's face was filled with rage as he crazily attacked the surrounding mountains. Some of the mountains were even blasted open by the young man, and some of them even collapsed. This Tianyang, how dare he push me down from the 10 Venerables list? He caused me to lose the 10th place on the 10 Venerables list. He deserves to die. If I meet him, I'll tear him to pieces. The young man roared madly. If anyone else heard him, they would be horrified. From his words, one could tell that the young man was the original 10th place on the 10 Venerables list, Fire King Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji was also a member of the Zhao family. Although he wasn't famous, he was much stronger than Zhao Xingting. Not only did you kill Zhao Shanhe, but you also took my place on the 10 Venerables list. Tianyang, you deserve to die. I'll release my father's kill order now, and make you the enemy of the entire world in the training ground. When that time comes, you won't even be able to take care of yourself. How will you be able to maintain your position on the 10 venerables list? Zhao Wuji laughed loudly. He was excited that he had thought of a brilliant plan. In the next moment, he took out his communication token and sent out a message. 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. Help me spread a message. At least spread it throughout Yangzhou. It would be best if you could spread it throughout the training ground. Wow, even the Fire King Zhao Wuji wants me to spread a message. What kind of message is that? The third elder of the outer court, Elder Zhao, has issued a kill order for the new 9th place on the 10 venerables list. The content is, Zhao Wuji's face was ferocious as he sent out the message. Tianyang, you're dead. In a newly opened cave residence in the center of Yangzhou, Nangong Zhen's face darkened as he stared at the new 10 venerables list. 9th place on the 10 venerables list? I knew that someone who could kill Nangong Shi and Dongfang Qing would not be weak. However, Dongfang Long and the second elder of the Dongfang family could not have been killed by you. There must be a powerful force behind you. Unfortunately, in the training ground, everything is meaningless. As long as you dare to come to Yangzhou, I, Nangong Zhen, will kill you. Nangong Zhen growled. At this moment, Xiao Hongqian, who ranked first on the 10 venerables list, also noticed Tianyang's rise and his expression changed slightly. I've never heard of someone who has such power? Forget it. He's only 9th place. He can't threaten me. Xiao Hongqian chuckled and then put his sky blue token into his space bag. He was too lazy to pay attention to him. At this moment, Tianyang woke up from his cultivation state. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the training ground was much more abundant than in the firmament territory. Moreover, Tianyang's spirit-gathering formation was not ordinary. Therefore, Tianyang not only successfully condensed a new drop of heavenly origin genuine vitality, but he was also close to condensing a second drop. I'm a little closer to LV9 origin transformation stage. Tianyang chuckled and then put away the spiritual stones and the items in the space bags into his own space bag. At this moment, Tianyang had not only replenished the spiritual stones that he had spent in the Heavenly River Grand Auction, but he also had a surplus. Even the outer sect elders would covet the wealth of more than 20 billion lower-grade spiritual stones. Then, Tianyang walked out of the cave and looked into the distance. The vast mountains, the endless sea of clouds, and the sun hung high in the sky. Chapter 362. Yangzhou was the largest trial ground in the land of the 9 states. The entire Yangzhou was twice the size of Qingzhou. Therefore, Yangzhou had the most geniuses. According to the information that Tianyang had, there were 4 on the ranking list of 10 and at least 20th on the ranking list of 100 kings in Yangzhou. Therefore, Yangzhou was the center of the land of the 9 states. It's just a strait, but the difference in the spiritual qi of heaven and earth is so huge. After stepping into Yangzhou, Tianyang's expression changed slightly. He could feel the spiritual qi of heaven and earth that had suddenly become abundant. He chuckled. It seems that Yangzhou is not called the center of the land of the 9 states for nothing. The land of the 9 states is already so abundant, let alone the island in the center surrounded by the land of the 9 states. After sighing, Tianyang withdrew his thoughts and looked into the distance. The place where he had landed was the easternmost part of Yangzhou. There were countless mountains and demonic beasts. Ordinary people would not be able to get close. From Qingzhou to Yangzhou there was a group of people who wanted to kill me for the reward. TSK, in the end, my points increased instead of decreasing. I'm now the 8th on the ranking list of 10. Tianyang muttered to himself. Then, he stepped into the mountains. According to the records on the Tianyuan secret treasure map, the Tianyuan secret treasure was located in the eastern mountains. Otherwise, Tianyang would have flown there long ago. The Tianyuan secret treasure map is in the Yundang Mountains in Qingzhou. I'm afraid that someone in Yangzhou has obtained the Tianyuan secret treasure map as well, Tianyang muttered to himself. Then, he rushed in. At the same time, in Qingzhou, Bai Lang was speechless as he looked at Jiang Nanyu, who had arrived late. He complained, "Senior sister, you're too late. That treasure was already snatched away yesterday." Jiang Nanyu scratched her head and smiled awkwardly. She could not possibly say that she had been looking for Tianyang along the way, and that was why she was late. So be it. There are so many opportunities in Qingzhou. One more won't make a difference. Moreover, compared to treasures, becoming an inner yard student is more important. You haven't made it into the 100 monarchs ranking yet, right? Hearing this, White Wolf shrank back and explained, soon. Oh right, there are 3 people on the list of top 100 kings fighting for the treasure this time. Xiao Qingshan, ranked 89th on the 100 Kings leaderboard, Mu Chenfeng, ranked 61st on the 100 Kings leaderboard, and 11th on the 100 Kings leaderboard, Lu Renjia, are all here, White Wolf said excitedly. Hearing this, Jiang Nanyu's expression changed slightly, revealing some curiosity. What happened in the end? All 3 of them are on the 100 monarchs list, so the competition must be fierce. In the end, they were all killed. The White Wolf organized his words for a while, and then said this sentence. It was difficult to weave a more beautiful sentence. Once he thought of that sword strike that was as resplendent as the Milky Way and the slight smile on Tianyang's lips, White Wolf felt flustered and found it difficult to continue speaking. Although she was present at that time, she only watched from afar. However, she remembered the style of Tianyang's sword. 1 punch to kill Xiao Qingshan, 1 sword strike to kill one of the 100 monarchs. The White Wolf blushed slightly when he thought of that scene. However, Jiang Nanyu was so shocked that she was speechless. Although her cultivation had reached the peak of half-step Dao fire, her combat strength was not considered strong. Zhao Xingting retreated because of the Jiang family's power. Unlike the Mu family, the Jiang family was the most powerful family in Sky Blue College. They were extremely powerful in the outer yard, and it was the same in the inner yard. Although the Mu family was powerful, it was only in the outer yard. It was difficult for them to do anything in the inner yard. Zhao Xingting was not a fearless person like Tianyang. Once Jiang Nanyu appeared, he naturally could not continue to deal with Lingyuan. However, Jiang Nanyu was only 36th on the 100 monarchs list. Yet, there was one person who easily killed 3 people on the 100 monarchs list. Moreover, one of them was ranked 11th on the 100 monarchs list. Who is that person? Jiang Nanyu asked anxiously. Experts of this level were rare even in the inner yard. I think his name is Tianyang. The White Wolf pondered for a moment and said uncertainly. Jiang Nanyu was shocked when she heard that. She looked at the White Wolf in disbelief. Lingyuan, who was in a daze not far away, immediately rushed forward when she heard the name. Is his name really Tianyang? Are you sure? Jiang Nanyu and Lingyuan said in unison. I'm not the only one who has the Tianyuan treasure map. Tianyang glanced at the people around him and mumbled when he arrived at a tall tower. Since Qing province had it, it was impossible that Yangzhou, where the Tianyuan treasure map was located, did not have it. It seemed like there were people who had obtained the Tianyuan treasure map outside Yangzhou and Qing province as well. There were at least 30 people, and the weakest among them was at the 9th level of the origin transformation stage. Someone else is here. On the other side, a man who looked extremely aloof glanced at Tianyang coldly and muttered to himself. When the surrounding people saw this, they immediately turned to look at Tianyang. When they saw Tianyang's youthful face, their faces revealed a trace of surprise. How could he obtain the Tianyuan treasure map at such a young age? Could he have picked it up? Tianyang did not care about their opinions at all. Instead, he looked at the aloof man. This man had the highest cultivation base among the 30 people. He was also ranked the highest on the 100 Kings ranking. 100 Kings ranking 8th Yuan Chengshan. His cultivation base is almost at the Dao fire stage? Tianyang glanced at the aloof man. His expression changed slightly, and the man's information immediately appeared in his mind. For a cultivator with a high cultivation base, not to mention 110 people, even if it was 1,000,000 people, it wouldn't be a problem. The only difference was whether the cultivator wanted to do so. The 100 Kings ranking and the 10 Supremes ranking were undoubtedly important information. Tianyang naturally memorized them clearly. Others: 100 Kings ranking 32nd Lu Ioran, 100 Kings ranking 81st Lu Yingying, and 100 Kings ranking Zhao Tian. TSK, I didn't expect to meet people from the Zhao family. Whatever, I'll just kill them later. Tianyang glanced at the 30 people and immediately understood the situation in the Tian Yuan treasure map. The strongest was undoubtedly Yuan Chengshan, whose cultivation base was close to the Dao fire stage. He was even stronger than Xiao Qingshan, Lu Renjia, and Mu Qinfeng, who were at the peak of the half-step Dao fire stage. Although there were half-step Dao fire stage cultivators among the rest, they were not a concern. At this moment, Zhao Tian suddenly glanced at Tianyang, and his expression changed slightly. There was a strange look in his eyes. In the next moment, Zhao Tian shouted, "Elder Zhao has issued a kill order for Tianyang. It's this guy." As soon as Zhao Tian finished speaking, Tianyang immediately felt the gazes of the people around him. Chapter 363. Tianyang's expression did not change when he sensed the enmity and greed in the eyes of the people around him. This was how cruel the martial world was. The strong preyed on the weak. In his previous life, he had seen many crueler things than this. The person you were chatting with in 1 second might stab you with a knife in the next second. Anything could be done for the sake of profit. It was reasonable for these people to want to deal with him because of the temptation of the spiritual origin pill. However, what surprised Tianyang was that Yuan Chengshan merely glanced at him indifferently and turned away. Lu Oren, who was ranked 32nd on the 100 Kings ranking, did not seem to be interested in him. Among the countless people, only the 2 of them were not hostile. Tianyang's lips curled into a faint smile at the thought of this. Not everyone in the martial world was cold-blooded. That's right. Tianyang smiled faintly and glanced at Zhao Tian, who had exposed his identity. I am Tianyang. I'm standing right here. Do you dare to kill me? Tianyang sneered and stood still like a pillar. Hearing this, the faces of the people turned ugly. Tianyang was too arrogant. There were a total of 30 of them. Even if Yuan Chengshan did not make a move, they could easily kill the top 10 on the 100 Kings ranking. But he's ranked 9th on the 10 Kings ranking. Just as the people were about to attack in anger, a weak voice came from the crowd. Hearing this, the people's hearts trembled as they thought of Tianyang's terrifying strength. Yangzhou and Qingzhou were neighbors. Therefore, what happened in Qingzhou would quickly spread to Yangzhou. These people knew that Tianyang had fought a great battle in Qingzhou. 3 experts on the 100 Kings ranking had died at the hands of Tianyang. Naturally, they knew how terrifying Tianyang's combat strength was. The strongest among them was not even as strong as Lu Renjia. Obviously, Yuan Chengshan, who was stronger than Lu Renjia, would not make a move. Although they were furious, they remained where they were and did not dare to make a move. TSK, you have the heart but no guts. Seeing everyone's fearful appearance, Tianyang sneered and walked forward with his hands behind his back, arriving in front of the tall tower. The tower was currently in a closed state. However, the Tianyuan secret treasure map reacted when the sun approached the tower. Obviously, the Tianyuan secret treasure was in the map. But how do I activate it? Tianyang glanced at the tower. It was 30 meters tall and at least 50 meters in diameter. If it wasn't for the fact that there was only one tip at the top, Tianyang would have thought that it was a building instead of a tower. The entire body of the tower was covered with extremely mysterious runes. Every 2 runes were connected to each other and then connected to other runes. The runes on the entire tower were integrated into one, which was extremely mysterious. However, those runes had all dimmed. There was no sign of them unleashing their power. Even Yuan Trengshan is unable to open this tower, let alone a brat like you. I advise you to leave as soon as possible. You're still studying the runes? Lu Oren's attainment in array formation has reached the peak of grade 3, but he still can't do anything about the runes. Brat, you're just a little stronger. You'd better scram back to your mother's house. Zhao Tian sneered when he saw Tianyang standing beside the tower and looking at the mysterious runes with rapt attention. Zhao Tian sneered and mocked him mercilessly. Hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows but did not react. If a peak grade 3 array formation master could not see it, then a peak grade 6 array formation master could not see it? These runes alone are useless. However, when countless runes are connected, they are incomparably mysterious. Although runes belong to the category of inscriptions, when countless runes are connected, it is the domain of array formation masters. Tianyang chuckled, fully displaying the demeanor of an array formation master from 10,000 years ago. This runic array is divided into 3 major parts with 82 modules. The first major part is the defense part, which occupies 27 modules. The second is the flight part, which also occupies 27 modules. The third is the attack part. This part of the runes is also the most mysterious. Once there is enough energy, it might be able to kill a second Heaven Dao Fire Realm powerhouse. Tianyang chuckled and muttered to himself. However, because of Zhao Tian's words, the others completely ignored Tianyang, who was studying the runes. They did not listen to Tianyang's words at all. Only Lu Oren, who was also an array formation master, began to listen carefully after Tianyang's first conclusion. The more he listened, the more shocked he became. Previously, when he looked at these runes, he only felt that they were mysterious and complicated, but they were messy and disorderly. However, after Tianyang divided them into 3 parts, Lu Oren felt that these runes suddenly became much simpler. It was as if the clouds had parted to see the sun. Lu Oren shuddered and hurriedly looked over. However, when he saw the most important part, his body trembled. He felt that the clouds that had been parted earlier had covered it again. What are these 2 runes for when they are connected? Is this a rune chain or a small array? That's not right. What are these runes for? Lu Aoren was about to go crazy. He stared at the mysterious runes without blinking. The outside runes were still okay. Given Lu Oren's cultivation, he could still understand them. However, when he saw the core area, the more he did not understand, the more he did not understand. In the end, it became a question of, what the hell is this? What should I do? What are we going to do now? No, I have to ask the senior. Lu Aoren hurriedly shook his head and forced himself to sober up. Creating a cart behind closed doors was still a taboo for array formation masters. If he did not understand, it would be even more foolish to go down a dead end. Therefore, Lu Oren immediately looked at Tianyang anxiously. If Tianyang could see the rune's composition on the tower so easily, he would definitely be able to solve the problem of the core runes easily. To be able to see through such a mysterious rune array, one had to be an extremely extraordinary array formation master. His array formation cultivation was also extremely profound. Yes, as long as you activate the 82nd rune with your true essence, the broken door will open. Tianyang glanced at the last rune, which was independent of the 3 main parts, and nodded slightly. Big brother, your cultivation is too profound. Wait. Seeing this, Lu Oren immediately could not sit still and hurriedly rushed forward. Senior, wait a moment. Tianyang's expression changed slightly, and he looked behind him. Everyone here was older than him, but someone actually called him senior? Taking a closer look, it was actually the noble, cold, and calm peak third-grade array master, Lu Oren. What? Tianyang said. Hearing this, Lu Oren also stopped, and the eagerness on his face immediately changed to a respectful expression. Senior, although you may not be as old as me, those who are proficient in array formations are the seniors. Therefore, senior, please guide me on the mysteries of the three main parts of the core runes. It was not that Lu Oren was particularly modest to the extent that he had to call Tianyang senior. It was just that the mysteries of the runes were extremely important and crucial. Ordinary people would not easily impart them. Lu Oren was born in an array formation family. His family might not be strong, but his family's status was not inferior to Jiang Nanyu's Jiang family at all. As the second son of the Lu family, Lu Oren naturally had his own pride, but the mysteries of the array formation were too tempting. If Lu Oren did not understand it, he would not be able to sleep for the rest of his life. You have some manners, not bad. Tianyang chuckled and nodded slightly. He knew that this kid was trying to be polite before resorting to force. However, to be able to abide by these basic rules at such a young age, it was considered rare among the young people of today. Anyway, this tower is not mine, so I'll explain it to you. Of course, you can't spread it to others. Tianyang smiled slightly. Hearing this, Lu Oren nodded seriously. He knew the principle of not spreading it to others, so he set up a soundproof barrier. I, Lu Oren, swear that if I tell a third party about the mysteries of the Tianyuan secret runes, I, Lu Oren, will be devoured by my inner demons, and it will be difficult for me to improve my cultivation. Lu Oren said seriously. Tianyang chuckled and began to talk non-stop. This rune may seem difficult to understand, but as long as you take it apart and take a look at it, you can easily solve it. Take it apart. Oh. It's the combination of the wind runes and the fire runes. The creator is also a little genius. He can actually combine the two runes into one. However, the degree of fusion is not too high. If you use this rune, it will be better. As he spoke, Tianyang casually waved his finger. A rune that was much more mysterious than this rune suddenly appeared in front of Lu Oren. Chapter 364. Waves of powerful and mysterious fluctuations were slowly released from Lu Oren's body. As his aura rose, Lu Oren's face became more solemn. The strange fluctuation he emitted became more solemn. This was the fluctuation of an array master's advancement. This kid has good comprehension. Tianyang looked at Lu Oren with satisfaction and chuckled. He then took a few steps back to avoid disturbing Lu Oren's advancement. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They looked at Lu Oren, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, in disbelief. This guy was already a peak grade 3 array master. He was a powerful existence that they could not hope to reach. However, after chatting with Tianyang for a while, Lu Oren was about to advance. Lu Oren's eyes were closed and his aura was getting stronger. This was definitely not fake. Then, the crowd looked at Tianyang in a different light. Not only was his combat strength ranked 8th on the list of 10 seniors, but his array Dao was also so terrifying. Lu Oren's array Dao was considered the top in the entire outer court of Sky Blue College. However, Tianyang had advanced Lu Oren with just a few words. Just how terrifying was this level of array Dao cultivation? Luckily, I didn't make a move earlier. Quite a few people relaxed a little. Although a formation master was not as elusive as an assassin, his ability to set up a formation was still very frightening. Most people would not choose to provoke an array master. After all, some arrays were not only powerful, but they were also very hidden. When the time came, if you were not careful, your whole family would be wiped out and you would not even know what was going on. Just like an alchemist, an array master was one of the few professions in Sky Cloud's continent that could not be provoked. Ha! At this moment, Lu Oren suddenly opened his eyes. A dazzling light burst out from his eyes, and a majestic soul power swept through the entire area. Even Lu Yingying and Zhao Tian, who were also experts on the 100 Kings list, were horrified. Even Yuan Qingshan's expression changed slightly. This soul power was too powerful. Just now, Zhao Tian and Lu Yingying only felt that their souls seemed to be grasped in Lu Oren's hands. With just a thought from Lu Oren, their souls would suffer incomparably heavy damage. Soon after, the ripples gradually disappeared, and Lu Oren's bulging robe gradually fell back down. Lu Oren patted the dust off his body and stood up. As soon as he stood up, he happened to meet Tianyang's eyes. Tianyang did not react. He quietly looked into Lu Oren's eyes. Lu Oren, on the other hand, looked at Tianyang with a sharp gaze. In the next moment, Lu Oren knelt down on one knee and said loudly, "Senior, please take me as your disciple." Hearing that, everyone was dumbfounded. Zhao Tian was dumbfounded, Lu Yingying was dumbfounded, and even Yuan Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the 100 Kings ranking, was dumbfounded. A young array genius who had just broken through actually knelt down on one knee and begged a young man who was younger than him to take him as his disciple? For a moment, Yuan Qingshan only felt confused. What was going on? Tianyang was also stunned. He did not know what Lu Oren was doing. Only Lu Oren himself knew that because of Tianyang's pointers, he immediately understood his own shortcomings. Suddenly, he had an epiphany. Epiphany was a mysterious state that could only be encountered by chance. It was difficult for ordinary people to encounter it in their lifetime. However, because of Tianyang, Lu Oren had an epiphany. Epiphany naturally brought great benefits to Lu Oren. The problem that had troubled him for a long time was immediately solved. His entire mind was suddenly enlightened, and his cultivation level immediately increased. Now, Lu Oren had changed from a peak grade 3 array master to a half-step grade 4 array master. A grade 4 array master was a powerful person that even Dao Fire Realm experts had to treat with respect. Lu Oren had reached the half-step grade 4 array master at such a young age, which showed his talent in array formations. However, despite having such a powerful cultivation in array formations, Lu Oren still did not understand Tianyang's previous concealment. After probing, he only found out that Tianyang was unfathomable. He was as unpredictable as the vast ocean. It was as if he could not see the end of it in his lifetime. Therefore, Lu Oren disregarded his status and immediately knelt down on one knee, begging to be his disciple. "Senior, please take me as your disciple." If Lu Oren was still a little unconvinced before, after Tianyang helped him break through, he could not wait to prostrate himself in front of Tianyang. "I refuse." However, he only received 2 words in reply. Lu Oren looked up and saw that Tianyang's face was cold and indifferent. "Senior, I'm sincere. I refuse." "Senior, I really admire your cultivation level. So what if you're younger than me? Your cultivation level is as unfathomable as the vast ocean. My respect for you is as endless as the surging river. I refuse." After Tianyang's repeated rejections, even Lu Oren was puzzled. Why? Troublesome. Cold and indifferent. Faced with such an impeccable answer, Lu Oren could only give up and sigh in his heart. Tianyang's cultivation in array formations was the highest he had ever seen in his life. Even some of the elders in the Lu family did not make Lu Oren feel that Tianyang was difficult to catch up with. One had to know that those elders were at least grade 4 array masters, and the most powerful one was a grade 5 array grandmaster. Even so, in Lu Oren's opinion, they were all inferior to the sun. In that case, Lu Oren sighed, stood up, and walked towards Tianyang. "Then, I'll have to cover you in the Tianyuan secret chamber. Senior, although your cultivation level is weak, your cultivation in array formations is very strong. You used arrays in Qingzhou, right? If these bastards want to attack, I'll hold them back. Senior, you can set up the arrays, Lu Oren said loudly, his face full of sincerity. Even Tianyang could only sigh. All right. Although he was strong enough, no one would believe him even if he said that. Could it be that he had to kill Lu Oren in a second to prove his strength? By the way, only you and I know the secret of the Tianyuan secret chamber. Why don't? Lu Oren rolled his eyes, then chuckled. He leaned closer to Tianyang and whispered a few words. Hearing that, Tianyang's eyes lit up. He nodded and gave Lu Oren a thumbs up before walking to the entrance of the tower. Looking at the 82nd rune, Tianyang smiled and gave Lu Oren a look. Lu Oren understood and immediately said loudly, Senior, you've seen through the secret of the tower? Next, we'll be able to open the tower. Hearing that, everyone was shocked. Even Yuan Qingshan's heart skipped a beat as he looked at Tianyang. In the next moment, the inner Yuan in Tianyang's hand surged, and he immediately injected it into the 82nd rune. Then, the entire rune shone brightly. Accompanied by a loud rumble, the entrance of the tower opened directly, revealing the interior that had been sealed for a long time. Seeing that, everyone was shocked, and a trace of greed appeared in their eyes. Some people even used their movement techniques and rushed over. However, before they could touch the door, a terrifying force pressed down on them, pressing them to the entrance. Lu Oren Tianyang, what's the meaning of this? Seeing that, Zhao Tian's face darkened and he said coldly, Do you even need to say it? Hearing that, Lu Oren chuckled. Senior, this mountain was opened by you, and this tree was planted by you. If you want to pass through this door. Chapter 365. Leave your money behind. Everyone was stunned when they heard Lu Oren's roar. Who were they? They were geniuses from the outer court of Sky Blue College, and 3 of them were experts on the 100 Monarchs board. Yet Lu Oren wanted to rob them? What a joke! Zhao Tian shouted coldly. Do you really think that you can act tough in front of us just because you opened the door and subdued a piece of trash? I advise you to get out of the way and kneel down to beg for mercy. Otherwise, you'll die. Zhao Tian sneered. When Tianyang heard that, he glanced at him and chuckled. Get out of the way? Kneel down to beg for mercy? You're not strong, but you sure talk big. Come, let's stand here. Why don't you let me die? When the crowd heard that, they were shocked and looked at Tianyang with disdain. They did not know where he got his courage from. Although Tianyang was ranked 8th on the 10 seniors ranking, he was above everyone else. However, they were certain that Tianyang had used his powerful array skills to kill Lu Rinjia and the other 2. If that was not the case, how could he kill the 3 geniuses at such a young age? They had seen Tianyang's actions earlier. There was no chance for him to set up the array. Therefore, even though Zhao Tian was ranked last on the 100 Monarchs board, he was still arrogant in front of Tianyang. Humph! How dare you be so arrogant when you're not strong enough? Since you're the target of the must-kill order, I'll kill you right here. Zhao Tian shouted coldly. In the next moment, a long spear appeared in his hand in a flash of light. The tip of the spear was black and shone with a sharp light. Zhao Tian's true vitality, which was at the peak of the half-step Dao Fire Realm, was circulating slowly. A ferocious smile appeared on his face. Die! Thunder-piercing spear. Bolts of lightning shot out in all directions, and an overbearing aura exploded from Zhao Tian's body. In the next moment, Zhao Tian turned into a ray of light and charged toward Tianyang. When Lu Oren saw that, his expression changed and he quickly turned to look at Tianyang. Senior, be careful. Although Zhao Tian's cultivation had just reached the peak of the half-step Dao Fire Realm, he was still an expert on the 100 Kings ranking. Tianyang's cultivation was not high, and he did not have the help of the formation. Facing this spear, he would definitely die. Don't move. Hearing this, Tianyang chuckled and quietly looked at the thunder-piercing spear in front of him. The corner of his mouth hooked up into a slight smile. piercing lightning spear? This name sounds a little familiar. In the eyes of everyone present, this long spear that was shining with boundless lightning was simply unbelievably fast. However, in Tianyong's eyes, this was simply unbelievably slow. Every tremor of the lightning and every inch of the spear's advance was clearly seen by the heavenly sun. Everything around him seemed to be moving in slow motion. Only Tianyong remained aloof, and the corners of his mouth hooked up into a slight smile. In the next moment, Tianyong directly grabbed out with his hand. He's crazy! Seeing this, Lu Yingying was shocked, and a trace of horror appeared on her face. Zhao Tian's strength might not be considered too strong in the entire trial ground. However, she was very clear about this spear. In order to practice the thunder-piercing spear to perfection, Zhao Tian had even entered the 50th level of the Void Thunder Hall to explore. The power and speed of this spear were extremely fast. Even if the number one person in the Zhao family, Fire King Zhao Wuji, was here, he would not be able to resist it with his physical body. How dare a mere 8th on the 10 martial artists ranking do this? Senior. Seeing this, Lu Oren's expression changed greatly. Just as he was about to attack, Zhao Tian sped up again and charged towards Tianyong. How dare you use your palm to resist my thunder-piercing spear? Wait for your death! Zhao Tian roared, and his eyes were filled with killing intent and greed. As long as he killed Tianyong, he would have the spiritual origin elixir and quasi-spiritual weapon when he got out. Zhao Tian definitely could not resist this level of temptation. Now that he saw Tianyong, he was ecstatic. He knew his thunder-piercing spear the best. Since Tianyong dared to use his palm to clash with him, then his thunder-piercing spear would definitely be able to pierce through his heart in an instant. Thinking of this, Zhao Tian laughed wildly and sped up again and again. The long spear that was shining with lightning collided with Tianyong's palm. Boom! Waves of air surged, and the ground under Zhao Tian's feet suddenly cracked inch by inch. A terrifying pressure was emitted from Tianyong's body. The tip of the thunder-piercing spear pierced Tianyong's palm at 0 distance. However, no matter how much force Zhao Tian used, he could not move an inch further. This seemingly soft and white palm seemed to be countless times harder than fine iron at this moment. How is this possible? Seeing this, Zhao Tian's expression changed greatly. He looked at Tianyong in disbelief, and then roared, "This is impossible! Thunder-piercing spear, kill him!" In the next moment, the true essence in Zhao Tian's body surged out and condensed into countless lightning bolts. They were like thick giant snakes that attacked Tianyong from all directions. Bastard! Seeing this, Lu Oren's entire body trembled, and his eyes immediately turned red. The true essence in his hand surged, and lines of formation patterns appeared in his hand. Spirit-devouring formation! In the next moment, a miniature formation appeared in Lu Oren's hand and attacked Zhao Tian fiercely. Instantly forming a formation? This kid's talent is not bad. Seeing this, Tianyong raised his eyebrows and looked at Lu Oren. Instantly forming a formation, this ability was not something that ordinary people could possess. Most of those who could do this were old fellows who had been immersed in the Tao of formations for many years. As a young man in his early 20s, Lu Oren could do it. It was clear that Lu Oren's talent was indeed not bad. However, although his talent is not bad, it still needs to be developed. If this spirit-devouring formation wants to deal with this thunder-piercing spear, it's still a bit lacking. Tianyong shook his head slightly. Then, the spirit-devouring formation was directly shattered by the lightning bolt. Seeing this, Zhao Tian's expression became even more savage and arrogant. "Haha! Die for me! The spirit origin pill, the quasi-spirit weapon, is mine." In the next moment, the lightning bolts completely exploded, and an incomparably huge power of lightning instantly engulfed the entire place. Lu Yingying's expression changed, and Yuan Qingshan's expression changed greatly. They wanted to attack, but when they thought of the huge force behind Zhao Tian, they stopped. After all, they did not have any friendship with Tianyang. However, at this moment, Tianyang smiled slightly and broke the spear with his left hand. In the next moment, his right hand, which was like a true dragon's claw, attacked directly. It fiercely collided with the endless lightning bolts. Rolling Dragon's aura was released, and the absolute strength of the half-true dragon's body directly crushed the lightning bolts. "I'm sorry, you might not be able to get those things." Tianyang chuckled, and his figure suddenly flashed. In the next moment, a fist with a terrifying force directly arrived in front of Zhao Tian. Zhao Tian's pupils immediately shrank, and the true essence in his body was about to erupt. However, in the next moment, this fist bombarded his face. Bang! A muffled sound was heard, followed by the crisp sound of bones shattering. Zhao Tian's figure was directly sent flying by this punch. Blood spurted from his mouth, and his entire face was caved in by Tianyang's punch. The bridge of his nose was broken, and his facial features were messed up. Not only did this punch heavily injure Zhao Tian, it even directly ruined his face while it was at it. Zhao Tian kept vomiting blood, and his aura was at its lowest. In the next moment, he directly fell to the ground and fainted. As the instigator of all this, Tianyang had a smile on his face as he looked at the remaining people. The miscellaneous people have already left. Now, Chapter 366. Toll fee. When these 3 words were heard again, it was not anger that rose in the hearts of the crowd, but a chill. Because of these 3 words, Zhao Tian, a powerhouse on the 100 Kings list, was lying on the ground in the distance, spitting out blood. No one knew if he was dead or alive. Furthermore, after killing Zhao Tian in an instant, Tianyang smiled and snatched his interspatial bag. He easily destroyed the soul brand that was left on it and threw it into his own interspatial bag. Tianyang's points increased by a lot, and he began to approach the 7th place on the 10 Kings list, toll fee. However, when he heard these 3 words, Yuan Qingshan's cold face twitched and he frowned. "Are you serious?" "Of course." Tianyang smiled. "I can already beat you to the ground and take your sky blue tokens. I just didn't do it because of my righteous and kind heart. However, in order to compensate me for my loss, or to buy the tickets to enter the tower, you have to pay something." Tianyang narrowed his eyes and smiled. Anyway, he had full control over whether the tower was open or closed. If these people wanted to kill him for the reward, there was nothing to be said. Tianyang had already given them face by not killing them with 1 strike. If they did not want to give him face, he... Hearing this, Yuan Qingshan's face turned cold, and Lu Yingying immediately flared up. "Beat us to the ground? You want us to buy the tickets? Wishful thinking. I won't pay the toll fee. I'll go in directly. What can you do to me?" Lu Yingying sneered. She was not afraid. Not only did she have a powerful background, but she was also extremely beautiful. She did not believe that Tianyang could defeat her. "So, you're not going to cooperate?" Hearing this, Tianyang chuckled. The true Yuan in his body surged, and a dangerous light flashed in his eyes. "If that's the case, I can only send you and Zhao Tian to accompany you. In just a short time, I'll be able to collect all the points of another cultivator on the 100 Kings list. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" In the next moment, a wave of pressure exploded and overpowered the entire place. It was so oppressive that the crowd almost could not breathe. When they saw the dangerous light in Tianyang's eyes, they finally understood. The person standing in front of them was not an undeserved 8th place on the 10 Kings list, but an expert who could kill Zhao Tian in 1 strike. Furthermore, looking at Tianyang's calm demeanor, it was clear that he had not used his full strength to deal with Zhao Tian. Lu Yingying, there was no way she could escape Tianyang's evil clutches. "All right." Seeing Tianyang's serious expression, Lu Yingying lowered her head in surrender. "How much do you want?" "Not much." Tianyang chuckled. 5% of all the points. Hearing this, Lu Yingying's expression changed slightly. 5%. She only had a little more than 120 points. Losing 5% was not unacceptable. Wait, I'm not done yet. Tianyang chuckled and interrupted Lu Yingying's action of taking out the sky blue token. For those who have been hostile to me, you will have to hand over 20% of your points. Hearing this, Lu Yingying's expression immediately changed and turned ashen. Tianyang, you've gone too far. In the next moment, Lu Yingying's inner yuan surged. Just as she was about to explode, Tianyang's eyes flashed and a majestic pressure pressed down on Lu Yingying. The door is right here. You can enter if you want, but if you want to cause trouble, Tianyang did not finish his sentence, but Lu Yingying knew what Tianyang meant. She glared at Tianyang fiercely and exchanged her 6 points for 25 points. To Lu Yingying, 25 points was like cutting off her flesh. However, under Tianyang's pressure and the temptation of the Tianyuan's secret treasure, she had no choice but to hand it over. After transferring 25 points to Tianyang, Lu Yingying stomped her feet and walked into the tower. Seeing that the powerful person on the 100 Kings roll had done so, the rest of the people had no choice but to submit to Tianyang. They handed over 20% of their points and walked into the tower. Do I have to do it too? At this moment, Yuan Tringshan suddenly asked. Of course. Tianyang chuckled. You didn't even bother to look at me previously, so it's not considered hostile. 5%. Alright. Yuan Tringshan nodded and handed over 5% of his points. Then, he stepped into the tower. Let me give you a piece of advice. Cut the weeds and eliminate the root. The Zhao family is very powerful. Tianyang looked at Yuan Tringshan in shock. Then, he smiled and said, If you cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, more of them will grow. After saying that, Tianyang tossed all the points he had obtained from the robbery to Lu Oren and entered the tower. Yuan Tringshan looked at Tianyang deeply and entered the tower. Seeing that, Lu Oren shuddered and looked at Tianyang emotionally. Thank you. It's all right. I don't like it anyway. Tianyang pursed his lips and walked in. Lu Oren kept his points and followed Tianyang into the tower. Boom! Just as the last person entered the tower, the entire tower suddenly shook. The door that Tianyang had opened previously was closed. Seeing this, the expressions of Lu Yingying and the others changed. Yuan Tringshan's expression also turned serious. Only Tianyang's expression remained calm. Then, rays of light shone and gathered in front of everyone, turning into a tall figure. The person was topless, revealing his muscular body. However, his hair was white and his face was that of a middle-aged man. An extremely powerful aura exploded from the middle-aged man's body. Everyone's heart trembled as they looked at the middle-aged man. At this moment, the middle-aged man glanced at everyone and spoke slowly. I am the Sky Wolf Walker. I am a first-level C of Soul Realm Cultivator. This Heaven Tower is my masterpiece. Hearing that, everyone was shocked. This tower belonged to the middle-aged man, the Sky Wolf Walker? In other words, the Heaven Vault was a relic left behind by a Sea of Soul Realm Cultivator? Lu Yingying and the rest were excited, but Tianyang was still calm as he looked at the Sky Wolf Walker. A Sea of Soul Realm Cultivator was nothing to him. I am one of the few Sea of Soul Realm Cultivators in the 9 States continent. Unfortunately, during the Great Migration, I did not believe in evil and stayed here. However, I was devoured by the Outer Realm demon. In the end, I could only leave behind the Heaven Vault map and the Heaven Tower. I burned my life to suppress the Outer Realm demon. Now, all we can see is my remnant soul. The Sky Wolf Walker said solemnly. Hearing that, everyone's heart trembled. Outer Realm demon? Tianyang also revealed a look of interest. This ordinary Heaven Vault actually had something to do with the Outer Realm demon? This trial ground was rich in spirit chi. Although the rules were not as good as the Tianshao Great World, It was not to the extent of becoming a trial ground for Sky Blue College. There must be a catastrophe to turn this world into a land of no man. The extraterrestrial demon happened to be in existence that could do this. I left behind the Heaven Vault map and the Heaven Tower so that someone could inherit the Heaven Vault map and fight the Outer Realm demon. The Heaven Vault map is this Heaven Vault map. Chapter 367. The entire Heavenly Tower. The exterior of the Heavenly Tower was engraved with numerous mysterious runes. There were 3 main parts, each of which contained immense power. Especially the most powerful part of the attack. If it was used with all its strength, it would be able to kill an expert at the 3rd level of the Dao Fire Realm. It could be seen how powerful it was. Moreover, there were many places inside the Heavenly Tower. The entire Heavenly Tower was simply a supreme treasure. According to the way spiritual weapons were judged, the Heavenly Tower was at least a medium-grade spiritual weapon. A medium-grade spiritual weapon was considered an extremely powerful magic weapon in the entire Heaven continent. Unexpectedly, one could obtain a medium-grade spiritual weapon in the Heavenly Tower. For a moment, everyone except Tianyang went crazy. However, Walker Sirius looked at everyone's crazy expressions with satisfaction and chuckled. The 2 words made everyone quiet down for a moment. It's not easy to get the Heavenly Tower. I, Walker Sirius, am at level 1C Spirit Realm. I can't choose someone weak. Walker Sirius said. Hearing this, everyone was a little nervous. There was indeed a test in the Heavenly Tower. However, you're all too weak. Therefore, I'll rearrange it and set up the 9-fold trial. Only those who pass all 9 trials will be able to receive my inheritance and inherit the Heavenly Yuan Tower. Walker Sirius said with a smile. Hearing this, everyone was shocked and then their eyes lit up. The Heavenly Tower, a medium-grade spiritual weapon, was invaluable. There were only a few medium-grade spiritual weapons in the entire firmament territory. However, as long as they passed the 9-fold trial, they could get the medium-grade spiritual weapon directly. It was too easy. For a moment, even Yuan Tringshan revealed a trace of excitement on his face. Tianyang, on the other hand, remained calm and indifferent. Then, the 9-fold trial officially begins. Walker Sirius laughed. Then, he waved his hand and a huge amount of genuine core strength burst out, causing the Heavenly Tower to shake. Next, a spatial passageway leading to another space appeared in front of everyone. Let's go. A young man laughed and rushed in. Seeing this, the rest of the people immediately rushed in, including Lu Oren and Yuan Tringshan. For a time, Tianyang was the only one left on the 1st level of the Heavenly Yuan Tower. Tianyang's eyes flickered. Then, he calmly walked toward the space tunnel. Soon, Tianyang stepped into the spatial tunnel and arrived at another space. Sky Wolf Walker's lips curled up slightly as he watched those people walk into the space tunnel. Then, he also entered the 1st layer of space. The first trial of the 9 trials is to test your physical strength. Only those with strong enough physical strength can withstand the impact of the Heavenly Tower's recognition. The Sky Wolf Walker said solemnly. Hearing this, everyone nodded. Next, these people were divided into their own independent space. The first stage is to defeat 10 stone giants with pure physical strength. The Celestial Wolf Walker shouted. Then, in each independent space, 10 huge yellow stone giants appeared. These stone giants were all of the same size. They were all extremely tall, with a height of 5 zhang. Furthermore, their bodies were also 5 zhang wide. Seeing this, everyone's hearts trembled slightly. It was as if a punch could instantly kill a primordial transformation realm cultivator. If you can't withstand it, just shout and I will let you out. The Sky Wolf Walker smiled gently and looked at the crowd. Not only were the stone giants tall, but they were also very powerful. It was extremely difficult to defeat them without true yuan. Suddenly, 10 muffled sounds were heard. The Sky Wolf Walker turned his head in confusion and suddenly widened his eyes. He saw that in Tianyang's independent space, the 10 stone giants had all been smashed into pieces. Obviously, in the dozens of seconds that he was speaking, Tianyang had killed the 10 stone giants in an extremely clean manner. The Sky Wolf Walker's mouth was wide open and he was stunned. Then, he immediately came to his senses and opened the spatial tunnel to the second layer of space. This kid's physical strength is too strong. But I can't see through his cultivation? It's okay. If his cultivation is not enough, he can still improve it. The Sky Wolf Walker smiled and muttered to himself. At this time, Tianyang had already arrived at the second layer of space. The second layer of the trial was to test the control of weapons. Sword, saber, spear, axe, hammer, cauldron, tower, tablet. There were a total of 10 weapons, and Tianyang had to control them. In the distance there were also 10 extremely hard stone tablets. Only by smashing these 10 tablets could one enter the third layer. It is extremely difficult to control the Tianyuan Tower. If you want it to recognize you as its master, you must be able to control the weapons, the Sky Wolf Walker said. Hearing this, Tianyang looked calm. His soul power surged out, and at the same time, he controlled the 10 weapons to fly at the same time. Ha! Tianyang shouted softly. In the next moment, the 10 hard stone tablets that could withstand the full blow of a half-step Dao Fire Realm cultivator were turned into powder at the same time. Seeing this, the Sky Wolf Walker's eyes widened again. The third layer of the trial was the ability to fight in various environments. There were a total of 4 environments: land, water, sky, and underground. In each environment, one had to defeat 10 demonic beasts that were more powerful than the stone giants just now. Half-step rank 4 demonic beasts: crouching toad, aqua-blue crocodile, silver-winged bird, and earth dragon. What a big deal! Tianyang looked at the 4 demonic beasts that corresponded to the 4 environments in front of him, and said indifferently. Hearing this, the Sky Wolf Walker chuckled. Of course, if the demonic beasts were weak, how could they be tested? As the master of the Tianyuan Tower, you must deal with the extraterrestrial demons, and the extraterrestrial demons can fight anywhere. If you encounter the extraterrestrial demons in a special environment and can't use your combat power, won't you be dead? The Sky Wolf Walker laughed. Hearing this, Tianyang muttered to himself, the extraterrestrial demons also need to be trained. Then, they entered the 4 environments and began to fight. The result was obvious. Tianyang did not even bother to draw his sword. He just used the power of the half-true dragon body to kill these demonic beasts. In exchange, the Sky Wolf Walker was shocked again and again. The 4th layer of the trial was the ability to resist pressure. The Sky Wolf Walker went up personally and used the pressure of the peak level 3 Dao Fire Realm to suppress Tianyang. However, Tianyang's expression did not change, and he did not even bother to move. 10 minutes passed. Tianyang did not move at all. 2 hours passed. Tianyang did not move at all. Seeing this, the Sky Wolf Walker could only send Tianyang into the 5th layer with a horrified look. However, the 5th layer, the 6th layer, the 7th layer, and the 8th layer. These were extremely difficult tests for the first heaven of the Dao Fire Realm. In total, it did not take Tianyang 2 hours. Chapter 368. The Sky Wolf Walker looked at Heavenly Sun with a face full of excitement. I didn't expect to meet such an amazing person in the Heavenly Tower. Many people had obtained the Tianyuan secret treasure map and successfully entered the Tianyuan Tower. However, the most powerful one had only reached the 8th level. He was still far from the 9th level. Furthermore, this person had spent an entire month's time. In the end, no one could pass the 9th level of the trial. They all failed and left. The Tianyuan secret treasure map in their hands was scattered all over the Jojo continent. The Skywolf Walker did not expect anyone to succeed this time. However, he did not expect someone to succeed. Back then, the strongest genius had spent an entire month to barely break through to the 8th level. However, this young man had only spent 6 hours to do so. If the Skywolf Walker had not suppressed him for 2 hours, he might have reached the 9th level in 4 hours. Even the Skywolf Walker himself could not be compared to such a talented genius. It was no wonder that the Skywolf Walker was so excited. Next is the 9th level of the Tianyuan Tower. That is the 9th level of the trial. As long as you pass this level of the trial, you can receive the inheritance of the Skywolf Walker and obtain the Tianyuan Tower. The Skywolf Walker said excitedly. Well, since you have passed the 8th level, you should get some rewards. I should have given them to you earlier. However, I have delayed it until now. You can go and get them first. The Skywolf Walker said with a smile. Tianyang nodded slightly and walked in. An inexplicable smile appeared in his heart. At the same time, in the 3rd level of the space. Now, everyone, go to the 9th level of the space to get your rewards. The Skywolf Walker's solemn and majestic voice slowly resounded in the Tianyuan Tower. Everyone was excited to hear that. They could get the rewards without passing the 9th level of the trial? If that was the case, wouldn't it be easier to pass the next level? At the thought of this, everyone stepped into the space passage in front of them without hesitation. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Rays of silver light flashed across the 9th level of the Tianyuan Tower, and everyone arrived at the place. Lu Yingying was excited. Lu Aoran was also very excited. Even Yuan Chengshan was very excited. This was the 9th level of the Tianyuan Tower. The treasures that could be found here were definitely extraordinary. This is the 9th level of the Heavenly Yuan Tower. Those who pass the 1st level will receive 1 treasure. Those who pass the 2nd level will receive 2, the 3rd level will receive 3, and so on. The Skywolf Walker said with a smile. Hearing that, the crowd became even more frenzied. However, there was still a huge door in front of them. As a remnant soul, I don't have true yuan. However, this door needs true yuan to open. So, quickly use your true yuan to open it. The Skywolf Walker said with a smile. Hearing this, everyone nodded. They reached out their hands and injected their true core strength into it. Tianyang quietly stood where he was and watched everyone pour in their quintessence. Only when Lu Oran made his move did he send a voice transmission. They have enough Zhen Yuan. You don't have to do anything. Hearing that, Lu Oran was stunned, but he respected Tianyang very much. He didn't suspect anything and immediately stopped. When the Skywolf Walker saw that everyone was pouring in their true yuan, he didn't realize that Tianyang and Lu Oran didn't move. He immediately chuckled and used the true yuan to operate the array. With a creak, the door opened, revealing a deep space within. Charge! Someone shouted, and in the next moment, they rushed in. Countless people rushed in together, creating a huge commotion. However, Lu Oran was puzzled and followed Tianyang. He didn't immediately enter. In the next moment, everyone was shocked by the treasures on the 9th level. Countless jade stones and jade books were floating in midair. There were also many weapons and treasures. Earth High-Class Martial Skill, Crushing Thunder Fist. Earth High-Class Martial Skill, Demon Crushing Palm. Heaven High-Class Martial Skill, 9 Revolution Path. Heaven High-Class Martial Skill, Demon Destroying Fist. Quasi-Spiritual Weapon, God Destroying Spear. Earth Low-Class Spiritual Weapon, Earth and Heaven Shield. Countless godly weapons and godly skills that everyone dreamed of were hovering in the air, within reach of their hands. The Heaven High-Class Martial Skill belongs to me, Jiang Wu. Don't snatch it from me. This half-step Heaven High-Class Martial Skill is mine. Whoever snatches it from me is an enemy of the Li family. Get out of my way. This 9 Revolution Path scripture belongs to me, Lu Yingying. Get out of my way. Everyone went crazy. Even Yuan Chengshan began to crazily fight for it. These were all supreme treasures. As for the Skywolf Walker, he floated in midair, and looked at the crazy fighting scene and laughed loudly. This is the lifetime harvest of the Sky Wolf Walker. Now it's all yours. Ha ha ha. The Sky Wolf Walker laughed loudly. Then, he saw Tianyang and Lu Oren, who were motionless. He was puzzled and floated over. Say, Senior, why do I feel like they've all gone crazy? Lu Oren trembled and looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. Even if there were Earth high-class martial skills and low-grade spiritual weapons, they wouldn't be like this. Hearing that, Tianyang sneered and killing intent surged in his eyes. As expected, I was curious about the second test. So what if the Heavenly Tower is difficult to recognize as its owner? You just have to focus on the tower. Why do you need so many weapons? The third test has various environments. You should know that normal battles are on land. There's no need to go to those places to test. Tianyang's face was cold and he sneered. The pressure of the fourth test is similar. However, in the following tests there's a variety of tests. There's only one missing. It's about one's soul and temperament. Hearing that, Lu Oren was stunned. Then, the Sky Wolf Walker laughed loudly. It seems like you've realized that the treasure selection is the ninth test. Hearing that, Lu Oren's heart shook and he immediately understood. However, when he looked at Tianyang, he realized that Tianyang's face was still extremely cold. However, it's fine if one or two tests are a little strange. There are so many tests that are equally strange. It's almost impossible for a human to come up with them. Tianyang sneered. The killing sword behind him flashed and appeared in Tianyang's hand. In the next moment, the Divine Wilderness Sky Spirit technique was fully activated. The true origin of the peak 8th level origin transformation stage gushed out violently. In his soul sea, countless martial souls condensed and the sky cloud sword appeared. However, I've said before that the extraterrestrial demon also needs to be cultivated. Those tests are to cultivate the extraterrestrial demon. Of course, I'm not sure here. However, when I reach the so-called 9th level, I immediately understand. There's no cultivation technique in the current sky continent. Tianyang's eyes widened in anger and he roared. A terrifying pressure instantly exploded. Chapter 369. Huan Ma! Tianyang shouted, and in the next moment, the celestial wolf walker's face was completely distorted. In the next moment, the celestial wolf walker's appearance was gradually disintegrating. His chest with countless hard muscles also collapsed like an illusion. Then, the entire celestial wolf walker completely turned into an indescribable and indescribable dark mass. Boy, how do you know I'm Huanma? A hoarse voice came from the Huanma. Hearing this, Tianyang smiled disdainfully. Your arrangement has too many flaws. As soon as he stepped into the Tianyuan tower, Tianyang's Tianshao sword, which had been calm, began to tremble in his sea of soul. This made Tianyang vigilant, and he began to pay attention to the celestial wolf walker. With this, the identity of the Huanma was exposed. At this time, Lu Oren was already trembling in fear. He looked at the Huanma floating in the air in disbelief. Then, he looked at Yuan Tringshan and the others who were fighting crazily. They were still fighting. It was as if they did not see the changes here at all. They were still immersed in fighting and fighting. Some of them were even seriously injured because of the fight. Seeing this, Lu Oren suddenly shuddered. If you inject your true essence, you will also be controlled by the illusory array and become one of them. Tianyang said lightly, his eyes fixed on the Huanma. Hearing this, Lu Oren trembled and looked at the door in disbelief. He saw that the door was completely different from the runes they used to open it. Then, Lu Oren looked at the ground again. He saw that there were mysterious array patterns on the ground, emitting a purple aura. This was an illusory array. The one at the door was a terrifying array that controlled the mind. It was simply Lu Oren's legs trembled. He was just a peak half-step Dao Fire Realm who had just turned 20 years old. When had he seen such a scene? Moreover, according to Tianyang, the dark mass that turned into the celestial wolf walker was actually the extraterrestrial demon that only existed in legends? Now, get out of the way. The attack of the Huanma is very vicious and dangerous. Go away, the farther the better, Tianyang said. Even he had a grave expression on his face. The last time he saw an outer realm demon was when the bright moon cultivator gave him the moon battle armor. The last time he fought against an outer realm demon was 10,000 years ago. As the number one master of the continent 10,000 years ago, Tianyang knew very well how terrifying the extraterrestrial demons, especially the illusion demons, were. If he hadn't been so careful, he would have fallen into the demonic illusions trap and become a member of the crazy competition. So what if you step aside? To be able to see through my true form, this proves that you are indeed a genius, Huan Mo said in a hoarse voice. His voice was cold and gloomy, making people shudder. However, once I wipe out your soul and take over your body, the Heaven Yuan Tower won't be able to trap me anymore. The pitch-black mass of air surged and then turned into the appearance of a tall, middle-aged man. He stared at Tianyang with evil eyes and his hands were like claws. Kill me? You wish. Tianyang sneered when he heard that. The killing sword in his hand shone with a cold light and the aura of the sky sword was slowly released. You'll know soon enough whether I'm dreaming or not. Now, even if I'm suppressed by the Heaven Yuan Tower, I'm still at the peak of the third heaven of the Tao Fire Realm. Kid, die. Huan Mo screamed and in the next moment, he charged forward. Demonic Chi Claw. Waves of demonic Chi instantly condensed into a terrifying demonic Chi Claw. In the next moment it charged toward Tianyang. Tianyang's face darkened. The true origin in his body surged out and the killing sword suddenly burst out with rays of bloody light. Sky Sword Art, First Sword, Sky Soaring. In the next moment, an extremely sharp and terrifying sword radiance burst out from the sword and slashed toward the demonic Chi Claw. Boom! The pitch-black demonic Chi Claw and the dazzling sword radiance exploded in midair. Billowing waves of air gushed out and the extremely powerful aftershock even shattered the formation runes under their feet. Around them, the people who were trapped in Huan Mo's illusion were stunned. Their bodies shook violently and a clear light flashed in their eyes. Yuan Chengshan's body trembled. He looked at the blood and broken stones in his hands and was extremely shocked. Heaven-class cultivation technique, Earth-class martial skill, lower-grade spiritual weapon, they're all illusions? Where's my lower-grade spiritual weapon? Where's my heaven-class martial skill? How can it be a pile of broken stones? A person roared. His eyes were red. He had just defeated a person and obtained the heaven-class martial skill. In the end, it was all gone? Damn it! That person roared. Then, another terrifying sound was heard. Boom! Tianyang and Huan Mo collided fiercely again. Blood splattered. Whether it was Huan Mo or Tianyang, they were both injured by this collision. Huan Mo is indeed one of the most difficult races to deal with among the extraterrestrial demons. His strength is obviously an illusion, but his actual combat power is so strong. Tianyang retreated quickly. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He stared at Huan Mo and sneered. Hearing this, Huan Mo sneered. You can see through my real body. Not bad. However, in front of the great heavenly demon clan, humans are just ants. Now, break your soul and let me take over your body. I can still give you a good death. If you want to take over my body, it depends on whether you have the life to do it. Tianyang laughed wildly. The killing sword in his hand suddenly burst out with endless light. The second sword, heaven-shattering. The annihilation spiritual fire instantly burned, and a sword light that contained an incomparable annihilation sword will suddenly shot out. Streaks of spatial cracks spread out. This sword, compared to Tianling just now, was more than a level stronger. Seeing this, Even Huan Mo's face became slightly dignified. However, the sarcastic smile at the corner of his mouth did not disappear. "You're just putting up a desperate struggle. Demon Heart Chaotic Soul Palm." Huan Mo roared. Billowing demon chi condensed. It contained Huan Mo's unique chaotic soul power and turned into a terrifying giant palm. It directly attacked Tianyang. "Destroy!" Tianyang roared angrily. The true core strength of the peak of 8th level origin transformation stage completely exploded. The killing sword in his hand madly released countless sword lights. The Annihilation Sword Light and the Demon Heart Chaotic Soul Palm violently collided. The Annihilation Spiritual Fire burned crazily. It wanted to burn the Demon Chi. The Demon Chi was monstrous. It wanted to extinguish the Annihilation Spiritual Fire. This was no longer a battle between two people. It was a battle between the human race and the extraterrestrial demons. It was a battle between the heaven continent and the demon world. In the universe there were countless races. The demon race was one of the races that could be called the enemy of all races. 10,000 years ago, when the catastrophe came, Tianyang, as the Tianji Sword Emperor, fought a bloody battle for countless years to defeat the demon race. However, it also brought endless pain to the heaven continent. Almost everyone in the heaven continent hated the demon race to the core. "Go back to your demon world!" Tianyang roared. In the next moment, true core strength burned all over his body. The Tianshao sword suddenly burst out with dazzling light. Chapter 370. Star Burial. Star Burial was one of the most powerful moves in the Sky Sword technique. The Sky Sword technique was a peak middle heaven class martial technique. As Tianyang's sword principle cultivation deepened, it became more powerful. Just the current Star Burial was already comparable to a quasi-heaven rank martial skill. How is this possible? How can a transformation realm kid have a heaven-class martial technique? Huan Mo's face changed. He looked at the dazzling sword radiance and shouted crazily. He was suppressed by the Sky Tower and could not display the strength that he had when he fought with the Sky Wolf Walker. If he was hit by the heaven-class martial technique, he would be seriously injured. When the time came, he would not be able to withstand the attacks of so many people. "Stupid devil, die!" Heavenly Sun smiled savagely and roared. In the next moment, he unleashed a Star Burial sword. "Save me! Quick! Save me!" Huan Mo's heart skipped a beat and he turned into the Sky Wolf Walker. "If you save me, all the martial techniques and spiritual weapons will be yours. Even the Sky Tower will be yours." Huan Mo roared. Hearing this, everyone's body trembled. They didn't know Huan Mo's identity. When they woke up, they saw Tianyang and Huan Mo fighting. When they saw that Huan Mo had turned into the Sky Wolf Walker, they hesitated. The two half-stepped to Dao Fire Realm rushed forward and shouted angrily. "Tianyang! Look at what you're doing. Stop the attack and let the Sky Wolf Walker go. Otherwise we will attack." The two of them shouted. Tianyang's face darkened when he heard that. Lu Oren shouted, "Come back! Come back, my ass! Lu Oren, don't think that I am afraid of you just because you are ranked 32nd on the 100 Kings board. Tianyang, you will die." The two of them shouted crazily. However, Tianyang ignored them. Instead, he activated his true core power. Billowing true essence surged. Facing the angry rebukes of these two people, Heaven Sun didn't hold back at all. He stimulated the Annihilation Spirit Fire, and after Star Burial's sword strike, he followed up with another saber strike. Bastard! Seeing that their shouts were ignored by the Heaven King, their faces darkened. A mere 8th level origin transformation stage martial artist actually dared to treat them like this. "We won't allow you to kill the Sky Wolf Walker. Die!" The killing intent in their eyes surged wildly. In the next moment, they directly circulated their true essence and attacked. "Idiot!" Seeing this, Tianyang's face turned completely ugly. Just as he was about to circulate his true essence to shake them off, Huan Mo was already one step ahead of him and directly attacked. Ha! The human race was like this. They would turn their backs on others the moment they saw benefits. Otherwise, how could we have occupied more than half of the territory tens of thousands of years ago? Huan Mo laughed wildly. Then, the human's right hand immediately turned into a demon claw and attacked. What? Their faces changed drastically as they realized that something was wrong. However, how could Huan Ma give them a chance to escape? In the next moment, demonic qi surged. The illusion demon directly killed the two of them, devouring their flesh and blood. In an instant, Huan Mo's aura skyrocketed again. If Huan Mo was previously at the peak of the third level of the Dao Fire Realm, then he was now at the half-step C of Spirit Realm. This half-step difference was like a chasm, a world of difference. If the human race didn't have the Tianji Sword Emperor, the Sky Continent would have long been my demon race's territory. I wouldn't have to devour the flesh and blood of these pigs. Huan Mo laughed wildly. Looking at the dazzling sword light in front of him, he laughed out loud, "Die!" In the next moment, the demon claw reached out and grabbed the Milky Way sword light. Boom! The demonic qi instantly crushed the Milky Way sword light. With a little force, it was torn into pieces. The people who wanted to attack previously were now pale as they took a few steps back. Although they hadn't seen outer realm demons before, they could feel the demonic energy that didn't fit in with this world. The Sky Wolf Walker was actually a demon. It was just a temptation and you fell for it. This is great. Senior could still kill this demon before, but now? It's all because of you. The veins on Lu Oren's face bulged as he was completely furious. If the two of them hadn't been tempted by Huan Mo, how could Huan Mo's strength have improved so much? Thank you so much. If it weren't for you, I would have been killed by this kid. At the very least, I would have been seriously injured. Huan Mo laughed and looked at Lu Yingying and the others. Hearing this, their faces became even paler. I'm not dead yet. You sky demons, don't even think about stepping into the Sky Continent. Tianyang's star burial sword was broken. Although his face was pale, he was still very determined. With the killing sword in his hand, he attacked again. Stubborn resistance. Huan Mo laughed disdainfully and pointed his finger. A terrifying demonic light directly bombarded Tianyang's chest and blasted him away. Bang! Tianyang was sent flying backwards, slamming into the wall of the heavenly Yuan Tower. His chest caved in as his face turned even paler. Even his aura withered. Puff, puff, puff. Tianyang spat out blood and his aura immediately dropped to the lowest point. If it weren't for the heavenly dragon core condensing in his heart, he would have died. However, even so, Tianyang was seriously injured. Ha! You should have just let me take over your body. Why do you have to suffer so much pain? Huan Mo laughed and looked at Tianyang with contempt. Kid, you're quite strong. If we fought alone, I would have died. It's a pity that you have a group of stupid teammates. Ah! Hearing this, Tianyang's face remained unchanged. He gritted his teeth and forced himself to stand up. I'm not dead yet. You sky demons, don't even think about stepping into the Sky Continent. The killing sword in his hand shone brightly. Tianyang's eyes were full of burning battle intent. Seeing this scene, the trembling people not far away showed a trace of guilt. If it weren't for them, Tianyang would not have fallen into such a situation. You still want to fight? Seeing this, Huan Mo's face darkened. If I let you grow, you'll definitely be the next Tianji Sword Emperor. Or even stronger than the Tianji Sword Emperor. How can we, the demon tribe, allow you humans to rise? So die. Huan Mo shouted coldly. The demonic qi in his demonic claw gathered and turned into a terrifying demonic seal. Demonic sky flipping seal. In the next moment, the demonic seal immediately attacked. Seeing this, Lu Oren's face suddenly changed. Array inscriptions burst out between his hands, and he wanted to instantly form an array to block the attack. However, at this moment, Yuan Chengshan suddenly rushed out. I can die, but the human tribe can't be destroyed. Yuan Chengshan roared and rushed out in the next moment. He blocked in front of the demonic seal. Seeing this, Lu Oren's eyes narrowed. Yuan Chengshan, who was ranked 8th on the 100 Kings board and had the potential to be ranked on the 10 Seniors board, had rushed in front of the demonic seal. It was tantamount to courting death. Seeing this, countless people were shocked. Even Huan Mo's face showed a trace of surprise. He then sneered, "It seems that not all of you humans are a bunch of trash. It's a pity that you appeared too late." Huan Mo sneered. At this moment, Yuan Chengshan immediately roared, "Tianyang, it's all up to you." In the next moment, surging true core power erupted from Yuan Chengshan's body. Then, a deafening and terrifying explosion resounded throughout the entire Heaven Tower. Yuan Chengshan had self-destructed. Boom! A terrifying light immediately filled the entire Heaven Tower, and the demonic sky flipping seal's speed suddenly decreased by a lot. Yuan Chengshan had self-destructed to buy time for Tianyang. Seeing this, even Huan Mo could not help but change his expression. There's actually such a person in the human tribe. There are many heroes in the human tribe. At this moment, Tianyang also stood up. His pale face curved into a smile. "You won't die in vain. Huan Mo will be buried with you." Chapter 371. Martial Soul Innate Talent, Devouring Heaven. Tianyang roared. In the next moment, the sky cloud sword in his hands suddenly burst out with a dazzling light. The heaven and earth spiritual chi, stone slabs, wood blocks, and even the demonic chi in the demonic illusion sky flipping seal had all turned into the purest energy and entered Tianyang's body. "Still want to resist?" Seeing this, Huan Mo sneered. "An ant-like human can only be. How is it possible for my demon clan to?" Before Huan Mo could finish his sentence, he was shocked to find that Tianyang's cultivation was crazily increasing. As the pure energy entered, Tianyang's divine wilderness sky spirit technique began to operate crazily, absorbing and refining. Tianyang's cultivation also began to increase crazily. In the beginning, he had only taken a small step to the 9th level of the origin transformation realm. However, towards the end, Tianyang's cultivation began to increase crazily. Peak 9th level of the origin transformation realm. Half step to the Dao Fire realm. Half step to the Dao Fire realm. Half step to the Dao Fire realm. First heaven of the Dao Fire realm. This time, the power of the devouring heaven secret skill was much stronger than any of the previous times. The terrifying demonic chi left the demonic illusion sky flipping seal and turned into a ball of heaven and earth spiritual chi that entered Tianyang's body. How is this possible? What kind of secret skill is this? How can it steal my demon clan's energy? Huan Mo was shocked and looked at Tianyang in disbelief. Then, he immediately reacted. "No, I can't let this continue. He almost defeated me when he was at the peak 8th level of the origin transformation realm. If he continues to improve, won't it be easy to kill me?" Huan Mo's face changed as he felt the threat to his life. In the next moment, he attacked. Die! The demonic illusion sky flipping seal shone brightly, but Tianyang's face did not change. He suddenly retracted his aura and completely exploded. Dao Fire Realm, Peak First Heaven. Those who offend the Sky Cloud Realm, even if they are far, they will be killed. Tianyang laughed wildly. In the next moment, the killing sword in his hand shone brightly. Dragon roaming steps of the 9 heavens. Thunder God Sword. Tianyang roared angrily. The power of thunder that was more powerful than the illusory demonic sky-flipping seal burst out. It contained the power of countless void thunderbolts, which was even more terrifying. Thunder, vast and mighty, was the nemesis of countless evil spirits. The Huanma was no exception. With a slash of the sword, the clouds in all directions moved. Countless thunderbolts transformed into a powerful sword light that erupted from Tianyang's hand, ruthlessly slashing the illusory demon, overturning Heaven Seal's body. Boom! Boom! Countless bolts of lightning clashed with the demonic chi. In the beginning, the demonic chi was able to fend off the sword with sheer numbers. However, when the power of the void lightning showed its might, the illusory demonic sky-flipping seal shattered like glass. Completely crushed. No. This is impossible. Huanma was horrified. He could not believe that the skill he was so proud of was shattered like glass in Tianyang's hands. My heavenly demon clan is invincible. How dare the ant-like humans resist? The Huanma screamed and stretched out his claws. His entire body was like a cannonball as he charged towards Tianyang. Kid, die for me! Seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change. Instead, he sneered, if you used this move before, I might have been a little afraid. But now you will pay with your life for Yuan Chengshan. Tianyang roared. The killing sword in his hand shone brightly. The heavenly dragon pellet released rolling dragon power. The killing sword immediately turned into the heavenly dragon emperor sword. Or rather, it was half a true dragon sword. Die. Sky Extreme Sword Art, Third Sword, Star Burial. Tianyang roared. In the next moment, the sky firmament sword in his hand suddenly erupted with a dazzling sword light like a galaxy. This time, even if it was a real Sea of Soul Realm expert in front of Tianyang, he could only temporarily avoid the edge and not dare to fight with him. This time, the Huanma, who had only recovered to the half-step Sea of Soul Realm, naturally could not block this sword. Quick, come and save me. As long as you kill Tianyang, everything is yours. Everything, I can give it to you. This time, the Huanma really felt that his life was in danger. You want to use the same move twice? Hearing that, the heavenly sun sneered. Then, he slashed forth with his sword that resembled a river of stars. All living beings, follow me. Slay this demon. In the next moment, the star burial sword combined the dragon power of the true dragon, the power of the annihilation spirit fire, and the power of heaven and earth. It turned into a galaxy and slashed at the Huanma. No! The Huanma screamed shrilly. Demonic chi surged from his body as he tried to block this sword. However, this sword was too powerful. The Huanma's cultivation had only recovered to the half-step Sea of Soul Realm. His strength was at most at the peak of the half-step Sea of Soul Realm. Tianyang, on the other hand, could rely on his own cultivation to fight against a level 3 Dao Fire Realm expert. Now, using the sky-devouring secret skill, his cultivation had skyrocketed. Killing the Huanma was a piece of cake. Boom! As a deafening sound echoed, the entire heavenly Yuan Tower trembled. The illusion demon was also obliterated by the terrifying sword light. Even the illusion demon's pitch-black body had been annihilated by Heavenly Sun's sword. All of the Huanma's aura was destroyed by Tianyang. The entire Heaven Tower no longer had a trace of the demon clan's aura. Success! Lu Yingying shouted excitedly. When the others saw this, their eyes were filled with tears. Finally, they won. When Lu Oren saw this, he heaved a sigh of relief. In the Legends of Heaven continent, the extraterrestrial demon was finally dead. Phew! Lu Oren heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he looked at Tianyang happily and asked, Senior, can we leave now? However, when he saw Tianyang's expression, Lu Oren's face suddenly changed. This was because Tianyang still looked extremely grave. Do you think that by hiding all of your aura, you can fool us? Tianyang suddenly sneered. When Lu Oren heard this, his body trembled. At this moment, the Huanma's iconic black body appeared. I didn't expect that there would be such a hero among the human clan. The Huanma's voice was cold and hoarse. Although the sword was extremely powerful and had destroyed his body, the Huanma's soul was still the strongest. Among the extraterrestrial demons, the Huanma's soul power was one of the strongest. It was extremely difficult to kill him. However, the sword strike from before had still caused him to suffer a great loss of vitality. However, such a hero can only be used by the demon clan. Even if it's just a soul, I can still possess you, the Huanma roared. In the next moment, the black Huanma suddenly turned into a streamer and rushed directly between Tianyang's eyebrows. With Huanma's unique divine ability, the Huanma's soul easily entered Tianyang's soul sea. Senior! Lu Oren's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly roared. Damn the Huanma! Damn the extraterrestrial demon! Lu Oren roared. Almost everyone in the Sky Continent knew how powerful the extraterrestrial demons were. If the Huanma invaded Tianyang's soul sea, the odds were against him. At this moment, Tianyang, whose soul sea had been invaded by the Huanma, curled up his lips into a smile. In the next moment, there was a burst of laughter in Tianyang's soul sea. How is it, Mr. Huanma? It feels good to invade the soul of a peak ascending heaven state, right? In Tianyang's soul sea. Chapter 372. As a Huanma whose highest realm was LV1 Sea of Soul Realm, what would it be like to have his entire soul rush into the sea of soul of an expert who had reached the peak of heaven-reaching realm? Huanma felt that this question, which no one had ever asked and no one could answer, was about to receive a perfect answer today. Huanma was famous for his illusions and soul power. However, in front of Tianyang, the reborn great emperor, Huanma's special skills were like a joke. Illusions? I didn't even need to use my soul power to deduce your identity, let alone your illusions. Soul power? This was even more ridiculous. For a soul power at the peak of heaven-reaching realm, how could Huanma, who was only at LV1 Sea of Soul Realm, be a threat? Even the soul power contained in the demon heart chaotic soul palm, which was enough to confuse the consciousness of an expert at the peak of LV3 Dao Fire Realm, was of no use. Not to mention his body, which was now extremely weak. Boom! Boom! The pressure from all directions almost crushed Huanma's entire soul. Even Huanma, who had no physical body and only a demonic soul, felt a sense of suffocation. That was the unconsciously suffocating feeling in the face of a supreme expert. How is it? Seeing this, Tianyang chuckled. This feeling is not bad, right? Huanma's body did not have a face, so naturally, he did not have a face. However, Huanma was very clear that if he changed his appearance to a human, his face would definitely turn completely green. I say. Huanma trembled all over. Looking at the invisible but oppressive soul power around him, he forced out 2 words. We demons are also peace-loving and friendly. Don't you think it's a bit too much to kill me directly? Huanma smiled embarrassedly. Hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows and chuckled. Do you think I'll agree? The next moment, Tianyang's sea of soul was suddenly boiling. The majestic soul power violently gushed out, fiercely attacking Huanma's body in the center of his sea of soul. Seeing this, Huanma trembled completely and roared, You won't get anything if you kill me. Moreover, you'll be targeted by my heavenly demon clan. If you kill me, you'll be waiting for the revenge of my great demon clan. At that time, you'll be doomed eternally. My demonic aura will be imprinted on your body for all eternity. Huanmo shrieked. Hearing this, Tianyang sneered. Humans and demons are mortal enemies. So, go to hell. The next moment, Heavenly Sun's soul strength surged out crazily and tightly surrounded Huanma's body. Following this, the power of thousands of souls transformed into terrifying spears that shot out. Even if it was only at the peak of the Heaven Ascension realm, just this realm alone was enough to make Huanma unable to move in the slightest. Numerous soul spears shot out and penetrated the body of the Huanma. The Huanma couldn't withstand such a terrifying attack and screamed in agony. Tianyang's expression remained unchanged. He continued to control his soul power to attack. Soon, under the suppression of Tianyang's soul power, Huanma was only left with his demonic soul origin. This demonic origin soul was much weaker than the enormous illusory demon's soul power from before. However, this was the core of the illusory demon's soul power. If the demonic soul origin was not destroyed, Huanma could definitely recover with his terrifying talent. At that time, he would be a disaster again. Huanma's last consciousness hid in the demonic soul origin. He was terrified. He could clearly feel how strong Tianyang's killing intent was. It could be said that as long as there was a chance, Tianyang would fight him to the end. Not to mention, Tianyang was almost completely crushing him. I haven't killed a demon clan member since my rebirth. Today I'll start with you. Tianyang smiled. In the next moment, the terrifying soul power turned into a huge shock wave and shattered the demonic soul origin's defense. In the next moment, the martial soul power condensed and the heavenly sword appeared. He aimed at the last Huanma and slashed. Boom! Sword light shot out in all directions and demonic chi surged. If so much demonic chi was released, it would definitely cause a disaster. However, without Huanma's command, the demonic chi was just food for the heavenly sword. The heavenly sword shone brightly as it continued to devour the demonic chi. Even the demonic chi that had been released during the fierce battle was swallowed by the heavenly sword. On the outside, Lu Oren and the others looked at Tianyang, who was devouring the demonic chi in horror. Their expressions changed. Oh no! Tianyang has been possessed by the demon clan. Hearing this, Lu Yingying turned pale. Everyone's faces turned pale. Lu Oren gritted his teeth and stared at Tianyang. Tianyang had just killed Huanma's physical body. Was he going to lose to Huanma's soul? At this moment, Tianyang suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with demonic chi. All of you leave! Tianyang bellowed as his body began to tremble. Seeing this, Lu Yingying and the others' faces changed as they revealed traces of shock. Especially Huanma, who was in existence with extremely terrifying spiritual strength. However, Tianyang could resist Huanma's possession and force them to leave. 2 lines of tears flowed from Lu Yingying's eyes. No. I want to stay. Go. We can't let Senior's efforts go to waste. At this moment, Lu Oren shouted angrily and instantly formed a traction formation that pulled all these people together. Then, Tianyang slashed out with his left hand and tore a passage to leave the 9th floor of the Tianyuan Tower created by Huanma. Seeing this, everyone trembled. Lu Yingying roared, Lu Oren, are you a man? I am. So I can't let Senior make such a huge sacrifice and waste it. Lu Oren roared angrily. In the next moment, he led everyone and rushed into the passage. Just as the last person entered the passage, Tianyang's eyes that were filled with demonic chi returned to normal. Looking at the silent surroundings, Tianyang chuckled. The irrelevant people have finally left. Now I can finally cultivate in peace. Then Tianyang directly circulated the divine desolate heaven spirit art. A huge amount of heaven and earth spirit chi surged into his body. Under the circulation of his meridians, it turned into his own cultivation. After devouring so much demonic chi, the sky sword finally broke through the shackles of the low-grade earth rank and began to evolve towards the mid-grade earth rank. Chapter 373. Within the heavenly pagoda, Tianyang sat cross-legged on the ground, crazily absorbing the boundless heaven and earth spiritual chi around him. The sky-cloud sword was also digesting the enormous amount of demonic chi brought by the Huanma. Other than the martial soul's power, demonic chi was the only energy that the sky-cloud sword could absorb. Moreover, it seemed that the demonic chi of the otherworld demons brought more experience to the sky-cloud sword's evolution. Now, even I don't understand the divine weapon that I personally forged, Tianyang muttered. Then, he looked at his overflowing true essence and chuckled. I've benefited a lot from the battle just now. Why don't I try to break through now? Tianyang was a reborn great emperor. His original realm was at the peak of the Heaven Ascension realm. Now that he had broken through, what he lacked was the accumulation of true essence. During the battle with the Huanma, Tianyang had constantly stimulated his potential, causing the amount of true essence that Tianyang could contain to greatly increase. In the end, the true essence that Tianyang had accumulated was enough for him to break through several levels. "Break for me!" Tianyang bellowed. In the next moment, the divine desolate heaven spirit art began to circulate rapidly. Tianyang's aura also began to fluctuate. Countless amounts of true essence were completely refined by Tianyang, turning into the driving force for breaking through. The spiral meridians faintly glowed. Tianyang's cultivation also skyrocketed. 9th level of the Origin Transformation Realm. 9th level of the Origin Transformation Realm. Half step to the Tao Fire Realm. Half step to the Tao Fire Realm. In just a few short breaths, Tianyang's cultivation had skyrocketed by 4 small realms. His combat strength had once again increased by countless times. A terrifying pressure was released from Tianyang's body. The tyrannical aura dominated the entire space. Gravel and jade moved without wind as they flew up. With Tianyang's breakthrough, his combat strength skyrocketed. Now, I only need to cultivate to the 4th level of the divine desolate heaven spirit art and I can break through to the Tao Fire Realm. Tianyang calmed down the true yuan in his body and slowly opened his eyes. There was a flash of light in his eyes. This heavenly yuan tower actually has the ability to absorb heaven and earth spiritual qi. It is indeed extraordinary. I reckon that it's definitely one of the best among the middle-grade spiritual weapons. Tianyang smiled, then patted the dust off his body and stood up. With a flash of light in his hand, the sky firmament sword appeared in his hand. When Tianyang completed his breakthrough, the sky firmament sword had also successfully evolved, reaching the mid-grade earth rank. Even in the firmament territory, this level of martial soul was rare. "Old friend, you've become stronger again," Tianyang said with a smile as he sensed the powerful fluctuations coming from the heavenly sword. "Then, it's time to break this space created by the demon race." In the next moment, Tianyang casually slashed out with his sword, and a powerful ray of sword light that contained strands of the energy of space directly slashed apart this area of space. In the Tao Fire Realm, one could control some spatial power. Some talented half-step Tao Fire cultivators could also do this. After slashing apart this area of space, the surrounding scenery suddenly changed greatly. Different from the dark 9th floor of the Heaven's Origin Tower, this place, which was unknown to which floor it was completely bright. Tianyang's expression changed slightly, and his soul power swept out. He immediately knew where he was from the door. On the 8th level of the Heavenly Yuan Tower. I knew it. How could Huan Mo bring people up to the 9th level? I'm afraid this Heavenly Yuan Tower is used to suppress Huan Mo. Tianyang chuckled and put away the sky firmament sword. At this moment, a leisurely voice came from one side. You've guessed correctly. This Heavenly Origin Pagoda was refined by our Heavenly Wolf Clan to suppress the Huanma. If my soul power is not so weak that I can't sense anything, it must be you who killed Huan Mo, young man. Hearing this, Tianyang's expression changed slightly, and he looked in the direction of the voice. A strong middle-aged man was standing behind Tianyang, looking at Tianyang with a smile. His appearance was no different from the serious walker that Huan Mo had transformed into. Tianyang scanned him with his soul power, and he could not hide the pure aura of heaven continent from this person. Obviously, this person was the real serious walker. Hello. Tianyang clasped his fists and bowed. For a hero like the serious walker who had sacrificed himself to suppress the demon clan, regardless of his strength, Tianyang had to respect him. Seeing this, the serious walker was slightly surprised. He hurriedly bowed and said, "Young man, thank you for your help." At first, I thought that with the power of the heavenly Yuan Tower, the treasure of my tribe, it would be easy to suppress a demon of the same cultivation level as me. I didn't expect Huan Mo's soul power to be so strong that he could get rid of the suppression of the heavenly Yuan Tower and spread the news to lure young people here. If you hadn't killed him this time, I'm afraid I would have been killed here by Huan Mo, who had absorbed the essence of humans and recovered. The treasure of my tribe would have fallen into the hands of the demon clan, the Sirius Walker said respectfully. The Celestial Wolf Walker said respectfully. Then, he bent down and made an even bigger gesture than before. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression changed slightly. He did not expect the situation to be so urgent. Fortunately, the one who had obtained the Tianyuan treasure map was not Mu Chunfeng, but Tianyang. Otherwise, when Huan Mo appeared, everyone in this trial ground would have died except for a few people. Fighting against the demon clan is the duty of everyone in Heaven Continent. There is no need for such a big bow, Tianyang said. At this time, the Sirius Walker's body suddenly trembled and he took a few steps back. When he stood still, his whole body was much more transparent. Tianyang's expression changed slightly and he looked at the Sirius Walker. The Sirius Walker smiled bitterly and sighed. To be honest, even if you didn't help me, my remnant soul that had been holding on for thousands of years would not have been able to hold on. Hearing this, Tianyang's expression changed. He hurried forward and grabbed the Sirius Walker's right hand. Soul power gushed out and immediately understood everything about the Sirius Walker. Tianyang's expression suddenly became gloomy. As the Sirius Walker said, he was now a lamp that had run out of oil. No matter how Tianyang extended his life, it was impossible to save him. Actually, I didn't expect to live for long. Seeing Tianyang's ugly expression, the Sirius Walker smiled and said, "But I have always been obsessed with something that I can't let go of. Tell me, whether it's revenge or extermination, I'll help you." Hearing this, Tianyang's expression immediately recovered and he said firmly, "The Sirius Walker sacrificed himself to suppress the demons. He was a hero. If such a person had any wishes, Tianyang would definitely fulfill them. After all, when he had fought against the devil race and almost died, countless humans had stepped in to save him. Neither. I've lived for so many years and I've long forgotten any hatred. The only thing that I can't let go of is the core of the 9th floor." The Sirius Walker sighed softly. Then, his body shook violently. The Sirius Walker stretched out his right hand and in his palm, there was a seal. "This is the core of the Heavenly Tower. As long as you refine this core, you will be the owner of the Heavenly Tower," the Sirius Walker said seriously. Then, without any explanation, he directly stuffed it into Tianyang's hand. After doing this, the Sirius Walker's body became more transparent and almost merged with the surrounding environment. "I hope you can help me take good care of it. If so, I will have no regrets in this life." The Celestial Wolf Walker smiled, and then his body instantly became transparent. "Ha ha ha. I, by Tianlang, have traversed the continent of the 9 regions. In the end, before I die, I can still witness the fall of the devil race. I, Daytime Wolf, died a worthy death. Ha ha ha." Bai Tianlang laughed heartily, and the nearly transparent middle-aged man's face was full of carefree smiles. After that, the Daytime Wolf's body became completely transparent. Thousands of years ago, the patriarch of the Celestial Wolf clan, Celestial Wolf Walker Bai Lang, had sacrificed himself to suppress the illusion demon. Chapter 374. The Celestial Wolf Walker was dead. Perhaps, for a person who had suppressed the demon race for thousands of years, suppressing the demon race was more important than their life and death. Now that Huan Mo had died at the hands of Tianyang, the Celestial Wolf Walker's 1,000 years of suppression had finally completed his mission. He could die with a smile on his face. This was the best ending for him. Rest in peace. Tianyang stood where he was, looking respectfully at the spot where the celestial wolf walker stood before he died, and solemnly saluted him. This was a salute to a true hero. Tianyong, as the Tianji Sword Emperor, saluted him, which meant that the celestial wolf walker was a hero. Concerned for the 9th floor? What made the celestial wolf walker so concerned? After a soft sigh, Tianyong recovered. He walked out of the door and headed for the 9th floor. The 9th floor was sealed by an extremely powerful formation. If someone who was not the owner of the heavenly tower tried to barge in, he would be suppressed by the formation. Even the runic formations outside the heavenly tower were much simpler and weaker than the formation on the door. According to Tianyong's calculations, if one did not have the cultivation of a half-step sea of soul realm, he would definitely die if he barged in rashly. However, I am now the owner of the heavenly tower. Opening the formation is not a problem. Tianyong muttered and glanced at the seal in his hand. When he was walking, Tianyong refined it and made the heavenly tower recognize him as its owner. Then, looking at the powerful formation, Tianyong reached out his hand and placed it on the door. Rumble with a loud sound, a crack appeared in the middle of the door. Then, the two metal doors, which were as thick as a person, moved to the sides. Tianyong walked in at this moment. The 9th floor is the most important place of the heavenly tower. The treasure vault of the heavenly tower is here. Tianyong said softly as he recalled the knowledge about the heavenly tower that the imprint had given him. Because Tianyong had killed Huan Mo, the heavenly pagoda, which had been tainted black by the demonic aura, had regained its brightness. Treasures were displayed around it. Low-grade spirit artifact, quasi-spirit artifact, mid-grade earth-tier martial skill, high-grade earth-tier martial skill, and an incomplete half-step heaven-tier martial skill. With a sweep of his soul power, Tianyong immediately collected the information of these items into his mind. If these treasures were placed in the outside world, any one of them would cause the entire Night Vault City to tremble, and even Dao Fire Realm cultivators would go crazy for them. However, these were nothing to Tianyong. Most of them were useless to him. If you have time in the future, assign it to Yuhan and the others. Tianyong muttered and continued to walk forward. Medicinal pills, 53rd grade Great Revitalizing pills and 10 4th grade Spirit Source pills. 3 Pinnacle grade 3 medicinal pills, Thunder Body Tempering pills, and Thunder Spirit pills. These Thunder Body Tempering pills and Thunder Spirit pills are a perfect match. It seems that the Heavenly Wolf clan had done a lot of research on medicinal pills back then. Tianyong looked at the Lightning Body Tempering pills and Thunder Spirit pills placed together, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. If he had these 2 medicinal pills when he was cultivating his physical strength in the Void Thunder Hall, he would have been able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Just the Thunder Body Tempering pills alone could cause lightning to wash away the impurities in his body, let alone the Thunder Spirit pills. If there was also the endless lightning from the Void Thunder Hall, the effect of his body tempering would be godly. Not bad, not bad. Tianyong laughed softly, then turned around and left the medicinal pill area, walking towards the medicinal ingredients area. The martial skills area, weapon area, and medicinal pill area all had such treasures. The medicinal ingredients area would definitely not be bad. Perhaps the medicinal ingredients that Tianyong needed to cultivate to the true dragon body could be found in the medicinal ingredients area of this Tianyuan tower. After all, the trial grounds were filled with spiritual energy back then. Even the dragon clan reproduced here. Leaving behind a few stalks of true dragon leaves wasn't anything special. The Lingji mushroom that can be used to refine the 3rd grade Great Revitalizing pill. The main ingredient of the 4th grade Spirit Source pill. And this is also a 4th grade pill, but its effect is countless times better than the Spirit Source pill's main ingredient, Blood Dragon Leaf. Tianyong looked at the precious medicinal ingredients placed around him and was shocked. Back then, as the number 1 in the Dan Martial Arts Department, he had collected countless medicinal ingredients. However, they were all turned into medicinal pills not long after, leaving Tianyang with a bad impression. And within this Tianyuan tower, precious medicinal ingredients that were rarely seen in the outside world were placed here just like that. The lowest grade was at the peak of the second grade, and the highest was even comparable to the blood dragon leaf. As far as the eye could see, there were no less than 1,000 medicinal ingredients in this area. More than 1,000 precious medicinal ingredients were placed in front of him just like that. The visual impact was unparalleled. "Awesome!" Tianyang exclaimed. Then, he released his soul strength, and his expression turned serious. In this trial grounds, the most likely place to obtain the true dragon leaf was this Tianyuan tower. The soul strength of a peak heavenly ascension realm was released, and in an instant, it swept through the entire medicinal ingredients area. Left, none. Right, none. Front, none. Tianyang's soul strength kept sweeping. The more it swept, the more Tianyang frowned. Could it be that even the Tianyuan tower didn't have the true dragon leaf? If that was the case, who knew how long it would take to find the true dragon leaf? Could it be that it was so difficult for Tianyang to attain the true dragon body? Tianyang frowned and released his soul strength, sweeping through the entire medicinal ingredients area. The second one on the far right. No, the third one, no, the fourth one, no, that's right. Yes. Tianyang had already given up, but in the next moment, a familiar wave came, and Tianyang immediately regained his hope. That familiar true dragon aura was almost identical to the vast sea of dragon power in Tianyang's Dantian. As long as the appearance matched, there was no doubt that this was the true dragon leaf. Legend has it that the true dragon leaf is condensed from the true dragon bloodline and contains the pure power of the true dragon bloodline. Therefore, there are 9 true dragon veins on the true dragon leaf. Yellow is the most common, while purple gold is the strongest. Tianyang muttered, then looked at the true dragon leaf. On the crystal clear leaf, the 9 purple gold true dragon veins were shining brightly. Not bad. Tianyang chuckled. Then, he immediately stretched out his hand, and with a burst of suction force, he directly took the true dragon leaf. On the 9 purple gold true dragon veins, a majestic true dragon bloodline aura was released. The sky dragon's dragon core trembled slightly, telling Tianyang. As long as he refined the true dragon leaf, Tianyang would be able to enter the true dragon body. At that time, even if another opponent like Huan Mo came, Tianyang would not be afraid. However, now is not the time to cultivate. Tianyang took the true dragon leaf, but he did not immediately cultivate it. Instead, he flipped his hand and put it into his space bag. Then, Tianyang directly walked out and walked to the core of the heavenly Yuan Tower. The Sky Wolf Walker's dying request was here. No matter what, Tianyang had to get the thing in the core of the tower ready. I wonder what it is. At the core of the tower was a huge silver-white metal pillar. There were countless runes on it, and just one look was enough to dazzle one. On the other hand, Tianyang's expression changed slightly as he looked at the countless runes. These runes are thousands of times more complicated than the door. I'm afraid its power is comparable to a full-force attack of a peak first-level sea of Soul Realm. What is it that is worthy of such protection? Tianyang's expression changed slightly as he looked at the tightly shut door. Then, he stretched out his hand. With the authority of the heavenly Yuan Tower's owner, he directly removed the countless runes. With a creak, the pillar opened. The moment he saw the thing inside, Tianyang's pupils suddenly shrank. This is... Chapter 375. It was a little girl. She was wearing a white dress, and her face was as delicate as a porcelain doll's. Her skin was extremely fair and tender, and she was a living beauty. Such a little girl was sleeping quietly in front of Tianyang. This is the thing that the celestial wolf walker was concerned about before he died? No wonder he used the word, take care of. Could this be his granddaughter? Tianyang was dumbfounded. He looked at the little girl and scanned her with his soul power, but he could not find anything special about her. However, since it was the celestial wolf walker's last wish, Tianyang naturally had to fulfill it. Just as he took a step forward and was about to carry the little girl down, the little girl suddenly opened her eyes and opened her mouth. Immediately, a blazing flame came out of her mouth and landed on Tianyang's face. Then, the little girl jumped down and hugged Tianyang's thigh. She called out in a childish voice, "Daddy?" Tianyang was speechless. Outside the heavenly tower, Zhao Tian looked viciously at the tightly shut door of the heavenly tower. His heart was filled with malice. Tianyang's previous punch had not only broken his nose, but it had also broken the meridians in his face. With a portion of his meridians destroyed, he would not be able to form a cycle of energy. Although his cultivation would not dissipate, he would not be able to improve in this lifetime. It could be said that the current Zhao Tian was half a cripple. You're saying that Tianyang killed you with a single punch right here, right before? Beside Zhao Tian, a tall young man looked at Zhao Tian with a cold expression and said indifferently. Hearing this, Zhao Tian's body trembled. He quickly nodded and flattered, "That's right, big brother. It's here." Tianyang was arrogant and despotic. He did not put the Zhao family in his eyes at all. He used the fact that he was the 8th on the ranking list of 10 martial artists to do whatever he wanted. He was simply slapping your face. "If we don't punish this rascal, I'm afraid our Zhao family will lose face," Zhao Tian said angrily. Hearing this, the tall young man's face also darkened. "A piece of trash who only managed to surpass me through some small tricks actually dares to treat us, the Zhao family, like this? Well then, I didn't intend to make a move so soon, but since this Tianyang is so eager to die, then don't blame me," the young man said coldly. As he spoke, burning flames continuously circled around him, and the aura of a quasi-Dao fire realm was released from his body. This person was the Fire King, Zhao Wuji, who had been pushed out of the top 10 list by Tianyang and was now ranked first on the list of 100 kings. Zhao Wuji's hatred for Tianyang, who had pushed him down from the 10 venerables ranking, reached the heavens. Now that he had received Zhao Tian's message, he immediately rushed over. Zhao Wuji sneered as he looked at the tightly shut door of the heavenly tower. "When we come out, I want the Tianyang to lose all face in front of everyone. Your name is Bai Luoluo?" On the 9th level of the heavenly tower, Tianyang looked at the little girl in front of him with a conflicted expression and asked carefully. This little girl was really strange. Tianyang had scanned her roughly and did not find anything, so he had thought that she was just an ordinary human. In the end, when she opened her mouth, she spat out a mouthful of flames, which completely stunned Tianyang. How could a normal person spit out a mouthful of flames? Yes. The white-haired little girl, Bai Luoluo, nodded and said, "Daddy, what's Daddy's name?" Hearing this, Tianyang felt a twinge in his balls. He had lived 2 lives as a virgin and had never even touched a woman, but now he had a daughter? Looking at the little girl's stubbornness, she probably would not realize that Tianyang was not her father until she grew up. After all, Tianyang had spent a full 10 minutes to teach the little girl that no matter who her father was, it could not be him. In the end, the little girl did not listen to a single word and kept calling him Daddy. Tianyang felt a twinge in his balls because he had wasted 10 minutes to find out that the little girl was called by Luoluo. "I'm not your father," Tianyang shouted. It was said that children were the most difficult creatures to deal with in the world, and now it seemed that it was true. "No matter who your father is, I'm not your father." Hearing this, Bai Luoluo trembled. Looking at Tianyang's face, her eyes filled with tears. In the next moment, Bai Luoluo started crying. "Daddy doesn't want Luoluo anymore. Daddy doesn't want Luoluo anymore. Wah!" Bai Luoluo sat on the ground and started bawling. Seeing this, Tianyang, who was not good at dealing with children, immediately panicked. He hurriedly hugged Bai Luoluo and said gently, Ah, Luoluo, don't cry, don't cry. I am your father, okay? Under the attack of Luoluo's tears, Tianyang was defeated without hesitation. Tianyang comforted Bai Luoluo for a full 10 minutes before Bai Luoluo stopped crying. Tianyang heaved a sigh of relief and asked, Luoluo, do you know the Sky Wolf Walker, also known as the Sky Wolf? It's a very strong-looking uncle, Tianyang said. Hearing this, Bai Luoluo stretched out her index finger and tapped on her beautiful little face. She tilted her head. I know, he's the one who saved Luoluo. Tianyang. So this little girl is not your granddaughter? His eyes flashed. Through the Tianyuan Tower, Tianyang also noticed the commotion outside and his expression immediately turned cold. However, looking at the white-haired lowly Bai Luoluo in his arms, Tianyang could only sigh and carry Bai Luoluo down. Daddy has to go do something now. You stay here. Tianyang was unable to accept being called Daddy for no reason. Just as Tianyang took 3 steps, Bai Luoluo trembled and her eyes filled with tears. Daddy doesn't want Luoluo anymore. Tianyang defeated. Tianyang helplessly carried Bai Luoluo again and sighed in his heart. He couldn't bring Luoluo to beat people up, right? However, it wasn't realistic to shove Bai Luoluo back and let her continue sleeping. Tianyang himself couldn't accept it. At most, he could use his soul power to kill them. Speaking of which, that group of people seems to be stuck on the first floor. Tianyang thought and immediately found traces of Lu Oren and the others. Because Huanma closed the door, Tianyang forgot to open it. Lu Aoran and the others could only be stuck on the first floor. Thinking of this, Tianyang's expression became strange. He placed the little lowly on his shoulder and then activated the teleportation in the Tianyuan Tower. With a flash of silver light, Tianyang arrived on the first floor in front of everyone. Tianyang. Seeing Tianyang suddenly appear, everyone was shocked. Then, thinking of the situation before they left, their faces turned pale. Demon! Hearing this, Tianyang was speechless and smiled helplessly. Huanma was killed by the real Sky Wolf. Now I am Tianyang. Chapter 376. With a loud rumbling sound, the door opened. The door that had only been opened a few times in the past thousands of years finally opened. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. Tianyang could open the door so easily. Didn't this mean that the heavenly tower belonged to Tianyang now? However, when they thought about it carefully, they were surprised to find that they were not dissatisfied at all. Tianyang had already proven himself with his strength. He had completely crushed everyone. In other words, Tianyang was definitely the strongest among all of them. Tianyang had also sacrificed himself to fight against Huanma, which had moved everyone present. Even those who had forsaken righteousness for the sake of benefits were convinced now. He was powerful and righteous. If such a person did not go to the heavenly tower, who else was worthy? At this moment, someone noticed Bai Luoluo sitting on Tianyang's shoulder and asked curiously. However, Tianyang did not bother to answer. Bai Luoluo was the serious walker's last wish. Although Tianyang did not know who she was, he liked this little girl. This person had been hostile to him before. How could he let him touch his precious daughter? After being treated coldly by Tianyang, the person knew that Tianyang did not want to talk about this. So, he tactfully walked out. After one person walked out, the others followed. Tianyang did not immediately put away the heavenly tower. Instead, he looked at the 2 people in the distance. The bait that he had left behind had now caught a big fish, Zhao Wuji, who was once ranked 10th on the 10 martial artists ranking and is now ranked 1st on the 100 kings ranking. Am I right? Tianyang smiled faintly and walked out. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji's face darkened. He looked at Tianyang, who had walked out of the heavenly tower. You are the one who killed Zhao Shanhe, broke Zhao Tian's meridians, and humiliated my Zhao family? Zhao Wuji looked at Tianyang with disdain in his eyes. Tianyang had just broken through, so his aura inevitably leaked out a little. Therefore, Zhao Wuji could also tell that Tianyang was merely at the peak of the half-step Dao Fire realm. Although this level of cultivation wasn't considered weak, it was still far inferior to his quasi-Dao Fire realm cultivation. What was a quasi-Dao Fire realm? In terms of the utilization and control of the power of space, he had already reached the first level of the Dao Fire realm. The only difference between him and the first level of the Dao Fire realm was his quintessential essence, and the first level of the Dao Fire tribulation. In terms of actual combat strength, quasi-Dao Flame realm experts weren't the slightest bit inferior to the first level of the Dao Flame realm. To a genius like Zhao Wuji, he could even go against a peak first-level Dao Flame realm expert. Therefore, Zhao Wuji despised Tianyang to the extreme. The first two were done by me. But what's with the humiliation of the Zhao clan? Tianyang raised his eyebrows and chuckled. I don't have the time to waste. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Tianyang actually said that about the Zhao clan? The Zhao clan was a great aristocratic family with overwhelming power in the outer court. In terms of power, they weren't much weaker than the four great families of Night Dome City. However, when they thought of the scene of Tianyang fighting against the Huanma in the Heaven Origin Tower, everyone felt relieved. With such terrifying strength, who would care about the Zhao clan or the Li clan? The strongest person in the Zhao clan, or even the four great families, was only at the half-step Spirit Sea realm. As for Tianyang, he was an existence that could kill Huanma of the same level. In other words, Tianyang alone was enough to contend against an entire family. Thinking of this, everyone laughed contemptuously. However, the target wasn't Tianyang but Zhao Wuji. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji's face darkened as he stared at Tianyang. You are humiliating my Zhao clan. Coincidentally, I, Elder Zhao, have also issued a kill order. Then, you can die now. Zhao Wuji snorted coldly. In the next moment, the quasi-Dao Fire realm's true essence surged rapidly. A scarlet flame immediately erupted from his body. The scarlet flame was like a long fire dragon that circled around Zhao Wuji's body, emitting a terrifying pressure. The moment the fire dragon appeared, everyone felt the surrounding temperature rise rapidly. Could this be the legendary peak of the second-rank spirit fire, Dragon Flame? One of them recognized the origin of the fire dragon and was immediately shocked. Spirit fire was a wondrous item of heaven and earth. Moreover, it was an extremely rare wondrous item of heaven and earth. In the entire continent, there were very few people who could possess a spirit fire. Who would have thought that Zhao Wuji would actually possess a wondrous item like a spirit fire of heaven and earth? No wonder he's called the Fire King. It turns out that Zhao Wuji actually possesses Dragon Flame. That person said in shock. Then, he looked at Tianyang with a trace of worry between his brows. A spirit fire of heaven and earth was not an ordinary wondrous item. The power of a peak second-rank spirit fire of heaven and earth was enough to burn mountains and boil seas. Not to mention this dragon flame that was in the shape of a dragon. Dragon flame was almost at the third rank. Among the spirit fires of heaven and earth, it could be considered an extremely powerful existence. However, when he saw the dragon flame, Tianyang's expression was still as indifferent as ever. Dragon flame? He had long since stopped caring about such a thing. Ha! You must be afraid after seeing the spirit fire of heaven and earth. However, even if I'm afraid, I won't let you off. How dare you humiliate our Zhao clan? Just wait for death. Dragon Flame, kill him for me! Zhao Wuji roared angrily. In the next moment, the dragon flame in his hand erupted, transforming into a huge flame dragon that charged fiercely towards Tianyang. Dragon flame, dragon incinerates all things. Zhao Wuji roared loudly as he formed countless seals with his hands. Streams of true essence surged out and poured into the body of the flame dragon. The might of the flame dragon also rose explosively once again. Rolling pressure surged out, pressing down on the surrounding people, making it difficult for them to breathe. Everyone's expressions changed as they looked at the dragon flame in shock. Just the pressure alone was so powerful. If the dragon flame's main body attacked, wouldn't Tianyang immediately turn into ashes? For a moment, even Lu Oren, who trusted Tianyang very much, had a slight change in expression as he watched this scene. Die for me. Burn. Zhao Wuji roared angrily. In the next moment, the flame dragon immediately let out a wild roar. An incomparably terrifying pillar of flame shot directly towards Tianyang. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change. Instead, he chuckled lightly. The spirit fire of destruction in his body also began to burn fiercely. However, before Tianyang could use the spirit fire of destruction, Bai Luoluo, who was on his shoulder, suddenly widened her eyes. You're not allowed to hit Daddy. In the next moment, Bai Luoluo rushed out and pounced towards the pillar of flame. Luoluo. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly rushed out, but Bai Luoluo had already fallen into the flames. Bastard! Seeing this, Tianyang's eyes immediately turned red and veins popped out on his forehead. He fell into a complete rage. With a flash of blood light in his hand, the killing sword immediately appeared in Tianyang's hand. As if sensing Tianyang's rage and killing intent, the killing sword began to tremble. A peerless suppression of the martial monarch realm burst out and suppressed Zhao Wuji's figure, trying to crush him into pieces. What? Seeing this, Zhao Wuji's expression changed drastically, revealing a trace of shock. Was this level of pressure really something that a cultivator who had not even stepped into the Dao Fire realm could possess? There's something wrong with Tianyang. Zhao Wuji's face was filled with shock. Just as he was about to leave, the pressure once again pressed down on Zhao Wuji, making him unable to move. In the next moment, the true essence in Tianyang's body surged wildly, and he was about to kill Zhao Wuji with his sword. Bert. A strange sound suddenly rang out. Tianyang was stunned. In the next moment, a vortex seemed to have appeared in the middle of the pillar of fire in front of him, and it crazily surged towards the center. Even the huge fire dragon began to tremble slightly. In the next moment, the flames completely dissipated. The figure of a little girl appeared in midair, and then sat on the ground. Luoluo? Tianyang was stunned, and Bai Luoluo seemed to have noticed that something was wrong with Tianyang's condition. She turned around and was about to say something, but just as she opened her mouth, another sound came out. Chapter 377. Seeing Luoluo fall out of the flames unscathed, the one who was most shocked was not Tianyang, but Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji was dumbfounded as he looked at Luoluo, who had a bright smile on her face as she skipped towards Tianyang. His face was filled with disbelief. That was dragon flame. He knew his own dragon flames the best. That move just now was not inferior to the full force attack of an expert at the peak of the first level of the Dao Fire realm. It would definitely not be a problem to deal with Tianyang, who was only at the peak of the half-step Dao Fire realm. In the end, before Tianyang could make a move, just the little girl on his shoulder had blocked his attack? Daddy, Luoluo is so full. Luoluo wants to sleep. Luoluo ran in front of Tianyang and burped as she spoke. Hearing this, Tianyang smiled and pointed at the Heaven Yuan Tower behind him. Go in and rest. Daddy will take care of the rest. Hearing this, Luoluo nodded and walked in. At this moment, Zhao Wuji's expression immediately turned ferocious. You actually want to leave after eating my dragon flame? Die. Zhao Wuji roared angrily as his vital essence surged. A terrifying dragon flame condensed once again. In the next moment, as Zhao Wuji struck out with his palm, the dragon flame immediately turned into a huge flame wave that charged towards Luoluo. This time, Tianyang would not let Luoluo make a move. His expression immediately turned cold as he swung the killing sword in his hand. Boom! The flame wave condensed from dragon flame was immediately shattered by the sword and turned into pure flame energy that was absorbed by Tianyang. Then, Tianyang glanced at Zhao Wuji and sneered. "Since you're here, don't even think about leaving." The next moment, Tianyang's figure immediately rushed out. Using the dragon's 9 heavens roaming steps, Tianyang arrived in front of Zhao Wuji in less than a second. "Die!" Zhao Wuji roared angrily as flames condensed in his hand. In the next moment, he threw a punch. Superior Earth rank martial technique, Fire Dragon Fist. "Dragon your hammer!" Tianyang sneered and slashed out with his killing sword. The monstrous power of lightning instantly shattered this flaming fist. In the next moment, it ruthlessly charged towards Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji obviously didn't expect Tianyang's strength to be so terrifying. His complexion changed, and he hurriedly retreated. At the same time, the true essence within his body crazily gushed out, condensing into countless shields on his back. However, Tianyang's sword was faster than his escaping speed. It was even stronger than his shield. The sword light that contained the power of thunder pierced through space, instantly breaking through the shield and heavily slashing into Zhao Wuji's body. Boom! A terrifying sound rang out as a bloody wound tore open on Zhao Wuji's back, causing blood to gush out. Zhao Wuji's figure was also sent flying. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and cracking sounds could be heard. It was unknown how many bones in his body were broken. Zhao Wuji had been insta-killed with a single sword strike. Seeing this, the crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. Although Tianyang's cultivation was extremely powerful, he was still a powerful being. However, even the Fire King Zhao Wuji was not a match for the Tianyang. This strength was too terrifying. Even Xiao Hongqian, who was ranked first on the 10 Spirit Masters ranking list, might not possess such strength. Bang! Another loud sound rang out as Zhao Wuji crashed into a huge rock. The bones in his back broke once again, and blood spurted out of his mouth. His aura had withered to the extreme. "You want to kill me?" Tianyang's expression was cold as he looked at Zhao Wuji coldly. "With your strength, you still dare to come up and cause trouble? I'm afraid that the so-called aristocratic families of the outer court are nothing more than this." Long ago, Tianyang had already known that Zhao Wuji was the strongest person in this generation of the Zhao family. However, Tianyang felt a wave of disappointment when he saw that the strongest person couldn't even take a single blow from him. With this strength, he could become the strongest person in the younger generation of the Zhao family. It seemed that the Zhao family wasn't that great. Elder Zhao's strength was probably not much stronger. Since that was the case, Tianyang didn't need to keep Zhao Wuji alive. Damn it! Seeing a trace of disdain flash in Tianyang's eyes, Zhao Wuji's face immediately became angry. However, he really couldn't take a single blow from Tianyang. Just that blow alone had almost destroyed all the meridians in his body. However, even if it wasn't destroyed, the true origin in his body had been completely exhausted. In front of Tianyang, he was no different from a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. "If you kill me, the Zhao family will definitely not let you off. Elder Zhao will definitely kill you," Zhao Wuji roared crazily. However, Tianyang's expression was still incomparably indifferent. He slowly walked in front of Zhao Wuji, and the corners of his mouth curled into a contemptuous smile. "You don't tell me that you didn't realize? When your elder Zhao issued that *T must kill order, your Zhao family and I will not rest until one of us is dead." The killing sword in his hand flashed coldly as Tianyang laughed coldly. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji's body trembled and his face turned pale. "Then, kill me." Facing a strong person like Tianyang, Zhao Wuji's heart was only filled with despair. He even started to hate Zhao Shanhe. If this person hadn't provoked Tianyang, Elder Zhao wouldn't have issued the must-kill order, and Tianyang wouldn't have gone against the Zhao family. Hearing this, Tianyang raised an eyebrow, then laughed coldly. You, just now, almost killed my precious daughter. You want to die easily? Not so easy. Then, Tianyang completely released his suppressive aura. Without any leakage, it pressed down on Zhao Wuji's body. Crack, crack. Zhao Wuji's already fragile bones immediately began to crack. Even Zhao Wuji's face began to distort. What do you want to do? Tell me, where are the people of your Zhao family? Tianyang said coldly. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji trembled. Tianyang wanted to kill all the younger generation of the Zhao family. If all the younger generation died, then the Zhao family wouldn't be far from extinction. I won't say. Zhao Wuji roared. Hearing this, Tianyang smirked. You won't say? If you don't want to say, then continue. In the next moment, the suppressive aura on Zhao Wuji's body increased countless times. Crack. His bones broke, and the bone spikes that burst out even pierced into Zhao Wuji's muscles. Zhao Wuji also began to scream crazily. Ah 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 ah. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression didn't change. Are you going to say or not? Not saying. Tianyang frowned slightly, and his suppressive aura exploded again. All his bones exploded. Are you going to say or not? Not saying. Soul ignition. Are you going to say or not? Don't say. His dantian was shattered. Are you going to say or not? No. Zhao Wuji still insisted. However, just as Tianyang revealed the spirit destruction fire, Zhao Wuji's face immediately revealed a trace of shock. This familiar fluctuation was clearly the spirit fire of heaven and earth. Moreover, looking at this aura, Tianyang's spirit fire of heaven and earth was countless times stronger than his dragon flame. It wasn't just strength. Even the spirit fire that he was proud of was completely destroyed by Tianyang. Zhao Wuji's face immediately turned ashen. He knew that the spirit fire had the ability to restrain the soul. Previously, Tianyang had only used ordinary true essence flames to burn him to the point where he wished he was dead. If he used the spirit fire, then it would definitely be a torture more terrifying than hell. I'll say. Zhao Wuji roared, I'll say everything. I beg you to give me a quick death. All right. Heavenly Sun chuckled. Then, Zhao Wuji spilled the beans like a bamboo tube, spilling the beans. He even gave Tianyang the thing that he used to contact his clansmen and locate them. Seeing this, Tianyang was naturally satisfied. He immediately raised his sword and slashed down, ending Zhao Wuji's life. Chapter 378. Zhao Wuji, the number 1 on the 100 Kings board, was dead. When they saw Zhao Wuji's lifeless corpse, everyone was stunned. Although they had witnessed Tianyang killing Huanma had been killed by Tianyang before he could unleash his true strength. Therefore, the visual impact was not great. However, Zhao Wuji was the former number 10 on the 10 Supremes board and the current number 1 on the 100 Kings board. He was known as the Fire King. His control over the heaven and earth spiritual fire was extremely terrifying. Even a peak level 1 Dao Fire Realm expert could contend with him. Such terrifying strength was enough to make people look up to him. In the end, he was killed by Tianyang in just a few moves. As a result, everyone's hearts were filled with shock. I wonder how many points the number 1 on the 100 Kings board will have in the blue sky token. Tianyang did not care about the reactions of the people around him. He muttered to himself and took Zhao Wuji's space bag. Tianyang took out Zhao Wuji's blue sky token and integrated all the points into his own blue sky token. Not bad. You have more than 400 points. No wonder you can be ranked number 1 on the 10 Supremes board. Tianyang chuckled and looked at the 10 Supremes board. The first place was still Xiao Hongqian, who had obtained a terrifying amount of over 2,000 points. Number 2 was a cultivator called Chen Taibai, who had more than 1,900 points. The gap between him and Xiao Hongqian was not big. Number 3 was Nangong Zhen, who was obviously from the Nangong nobles. Nangong Zhen was undoubtedly the most outstanding person in this generation of the Nangong nobles, since he was able to appear in the trial ground and rank so high. If he dies, the Nangong nobles will definitely feel the pinch. Tianyang chuckled and continued to scroll down. Other than the top 3, the rest of the people on the 10 Supremes board were not much different from each other. Tianyang had obtained Zhao Wuji's points, and his ranking on the 10 Supremes board had improved. He had dropped from number 9 to number 7. Furthermore, he was not too far away from the 6th place. Right now, I have already condensed 99 drops of Sky Yuan True Yuan. The last time I condensed 99 drops of Sky Yuan True Yuan, I was already close to the Dao Fire Realm. Now it can actually continue to condense. Tianyang put away the sky blue outer token and put all the spoils into his interspatial bag before he turned around and left. However, just as he was about to return to the Heavenly Yuan Tower, he was surprised to find that Zhao Tian was still there. You? Tianyang? How did you come back alive? Zhao Tian looked at Tianyang in shock and shouted in disbelief. Hearing this, Tianyang also showed a trace of confusion. What was going on? Shouldn't you have been killed by Brother Wuji who pretended to be weak? How could he still be here? Where is Brother Wuji? Zhao Tian roared. Hearing this, Tianyang chuckled. He is already dead. His body is over there. Hearing this, Zhao Tian looked as if he had been struck by lightning. His face was filled with disbelief. Then, he looked coldly at Tianyang with murderous intent in his eyes. Since you've killed Brother Wuji, then you must be at the end of your rope. As long as I kill you, your points and Brother Wuji's points will all be mine. I, Zhao Tian, can also be ranked on the 10 Supremes board. Zhao Tian roared and looked greedily at Tianyang. Then, he immediately used his movement skill and charged at him. Earth lower class martial skill, wind-ripping eagle claw. Streaks of dark green true yuan condensed, and the aura of a peak half-step to the Dao Fire Realm exploded. In the next moment, Zhao Tian's wind-ripping eagle claw was right in front of Tianyang. Die! Zhao Tian roared angrily. His fingers bent like claws and grabbed at Tianyang's head. Seeing this, the surrounding people had a strange look on their faces. This guy actually attacked Tianyang? Is he retarded? At this moment, Tianyang calmly reached out his hand and grabbed Zhao Tian's wind-ripping eagle claw, shattering it. Using his true yuan, Zhao Tian was sent flying by Tianyang. His bones were broken and blood spurted out. What? How is this possible? In midair, Zhao Tian was in disbelief. Then, he roared, Tianyang, I will kill you! Tianyang did not bother to say anything. He slashed with the killing sword in his hand and split Zhao Tian into 2. At the same time, he extracted the martial soul power from his soul and devoured it. Seeing this, the crowd gasped. Tianyang was not only powerful, but he was also decisive in killing. This kind of talent was rare even in the inner yard where geniuses were as common as clouds. He's so powerful and his sword cultivation is terrifying. He's still so young. When Tianyang stepped into the heavenly tower, Lu Yingying looked at Tianyang's back and whispered. The key is that his cultivation was not strong at the beginning. He was only at the peak of the 8th level of the origin transformation stage. Could it be? Lu Yingying's body trembled. She stared at Tianyang's back and shouted, Tianyang is Tianji. Sword King Tianji. Hearing this, the crowd trembled and looked at Tianyang in shock. Tianyang was the famous Sword King Tianji in Night Dome City? Sword King Tianji was the one who went through the trial with him and killed the extraterrestrial demon? The crowd stared at Tianyang's back in shock. At this moment, Tianyang heard the scream and his shoulders couldn't help but tremble. Then, he snapped his fingers with his right hand and the heavenly tower closed. In the next moment, the flying runes on the heavenly tower lit up one after another. The heavenly tower rose into the sky and flew away. Only Lu Yingying jumped up and shouted. His shoulder trembled. He's Tianji. Hearing this, the crowd was shocked and fell into a daze. In the sky, inside the heavenly tower. As a middle-grade spirit artifact, and a peak middle-grade spirit artifact, the heavenly tower could not be placed in a deserted place. Flying was only one of its functions. The heavenly tower could even shrink and be used to suppress enemies. It can gather the spirit chi of heaven and earth, and use it as a spirit-gathering formation. It can also fly and be used as a means of transportation. In the end, it can even be used as a weapon, as expected of the celestial wolf clan's treasure. Tianyang sat cross-legged in the heavenly tower and praised. Previously, he had gathered all of Yuan Qingshan's belongings and buried them in a place with good feng shui. He had also prepared many good wines to pay tribute to this anti-demon hero. At this moment, he was also studying the functions of the heavenly tower. At this moment, Tianyang's communication token suddenly vibrated rapidly. Tianyang's expression changed slightly. He stopped studying and picked up the communication token. When he saw the words on the token, his pupils shrank. Do you want to save your disciple's life? Then, come to the Chill Wind mountain range. Chapter 379. Nan Gong Zhen. Tianyang gritted his teeth as he stared at the communication token in his hand and roared angrily. Only a few people could be contacted by his communication token. Even Jiang Nan Yu and Beigong Wu could not be contacted by others. Since Nangong Zhen was able to contact him, it was obvious that he had captured one of the few people. In this trial ground, there were only two people who met the conditions: Flying Sword and Ling Yuhan. I haven't even gone to find you and you've delivered yourself to me. Tianyang was furious. Then, he put away the communication token and opened the map of the trial ground. He immediately locked onto the location of the Chill Wind mountain range. The Chill Wind mountain range that is full of Yin Qi and filled with ferocious beasts? It's not a bad place to bury your bones. Tianyang's expression was cold. Then, he immediately changed his direction and flew toward the Chill Wind mountain range. Bastard! Flying Sword looked at Nangong Zhen furiously and roared, "Young master will never let you go." At this moment, Flying Sword's hands were tied by a special rope. He could not move at all. Even his cultivation was temporarily sealed. Dao Feiyang was furious. If it wasn't for Nangong Zhen's sneak attack, with his great Sun Divine Saber, and the powerful killing moves taught to him by Heavenly Sun, he would definitely be able to contend with Nangong Zhen. However, he did not expect that after he had just killed a guy who wanted to kill him to claim the reward, he would be ambushed by Nangong Zhen just as he relaxed. Hearing this, Nangong Zhen smiled coldly in front of Flying Sword. "Young master? You're just a dying man. How can you let me go? Anyway, you won't live for long. Let me tell you, I've set up a powerful formation around this area. Even an expert at the third heaven of the Dao Fire Realm can't break it. As for a mere 7th on the 10 seniors rankings, it's naturally impossible for him to escape from my grasp." Nangong Zhen laughed maniacally. This kid dared to offend my Nangong family and even dared to kill people from my Nangong family. He's dead for sure. Hearing this, Dao Feiyang's face turned even gloomier, and his heart sank. The Nangong family had been rooted in Night Dome City for hundreds of years and had a deep foundation that ordinary forces could not compare to. The leader of the Nangong family, Nangong Zhan, was extremely close to the half-step sea of Soul's realm. It was not strange for him to be able to take out such a powerful formation. Flying Sword could only pray in his heart that Tianyang would not come over. At this time, Tianyang was riding on the Heavenly Origin Pagoda, flying at a speed that far exceeded that of an ordinary Dao Fire Realm cultivator, and quickly arrived at the top of the Evil Wind mountain range. After arriving at the Chill Wind mountain range, Tianyang also slowed down his speed. Although he was furious in his heart, he still maintained his calm. It was impossible for Nangong Zhen to not know that he had killed the second elder of the Dongfang family, but he was still so arrogant. He must have a strong backing. If he rushed in directly, there was a high chance that he would be ambushed by Nangong. The heavenly origin pagoda concealed itself and began to descend slowly. According to Tianyang's anti-lock-on, Nangong's location was 1,000 meters away from here. This is... After putting away the heavenly origin pagoda and letting Luoluo rest quietly in it, Tianyang arrived at the Chill Wind mountain range. His expression suddenly changed. The Chill Wind mountain range was indeed wreaking havoc with Yinchi. At this time, the chill wind would blow from time to time, and ordinary cultivators would be battered and exhausted. However, Tianyang's focus was not on the Chill Wind mountain range. Instead, he frowned slightly as he sensed the unusual aura hidden in the Chill Wind mountain range. The aura is very similar to the Chill Wind mountain range's natural Chill Wind mountain range. However, whether it's the nature or power, there's a huge difference between it and the Chill Wind mountain range. Tianyang muttered in a low voice. Then, his figure flashed as he used the dragon's 9 heavens roaming steps to arrive at the source of the unusual aura. Tianyang sneered as he looked at the array flag under his feet. As expected, Nangong would not let him in so easily. Array. Tianyang chuckled as he looked at the array flag under his feet and chuckled. Playing with array in front of him, the array supremacy, was like playing with a knife in front of Master Guan. Like this, like this, like this again. Not bad, not bad. Tianyang smiled and slightly modified the array. Although its power was not bad, it was not complicated. After making the modifications, Tianyang looked at the center of the array, which was where Nangong was located. When he thought that either the flying sword or Ling Yuhan might be captured by Nangong, Tianyang's eyes immediately burned with monstrous anger. What he hated the most in his life was to secretly attack his friends. In the next moment, Tianyang drew his killing sword. His eyes flashed with a strong murderous intent as he rushed over. Nangong, get out here! His roar was like thunder, causing the surrounding flowers and trees to tremble. In the cave, Nangong's expression changed slightly. Then, he revealed a sinister smile as he grabbed the flying sword and walked out of the cave. Tianyang, you really came, Nangong said coldly as he looked down at Tianyang with a sinister smile. This is your companion, right? If you want to save your companion, come over. Nangong laughed wantonly. Hearing this, Tianyang's expression darkened even more. The killing sword in his hand trembled slightly, almost unable to suppress his murderous intent. Even 10,000 years ago, it was extremely rare to see a sword emperor so enraged. Young master, don't. Seeing Tianyang's furious expression and about to step into the range of the formation, the flying sword immediately broke the cloth seal on his mouth and shouted loudly. Hearing this, Nangong's expression darkened as he kicked out. Bang! How could the flying sword, whose true essence was sealed by the strange rope, withstand this kick? His entire body immediately flew backward as he spat out blood and fell heavily to the ground. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression became even more furious. Then, without hesitation, he used the 9 heavens dragon roaming steps and charged in front of Nangong. Die! Tianyang roared angrily. At this moment, Nangong also laughed wildly. Ha ha! Since you've stepped into this place, just wait for your death. In the next moment, Nangong's aura suddenly soared. Immediately, he broke through from the peak of the half-step Dao Fire Realm to the Quasi-Dao Fire Realm. Then, he was at the first level of the Dao Fire Realm. I've already broken through. Nangong laughed maniacally. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression changed slightly. Killing intent flashed in his eyes as he immediately slashed out with his sword. Thunder God's sword, thousands of divine lightning. The sword light exploded, bringing with it countless bolts of lightning. Seeing this, Nangong's expression froze slightly. Then, he sneered. A cold light flashed in his hand and a huge spear appeared. Today is the anniversary of your death, Tianyang. Chapter 380. Soul-Severing Spear. Nangong roared. His true essence of the first level of the Tao fire realm erupted as he thrust the giant spear in his hand forward. This giant spear was no ordinary item. It was an extremely rare low-grade spiritual weapon. Although Nangong was unable to unleash the full power of this low-grade spiritual weapon, it could still increase his combat strength. Soul-severing spear, soul-severing. Following Nangong roar, the body of the giant spear shone with a strange light. Then, an extremely strange soul-trembling force erupted from the body of the giant spear. Even though the flying sword was lying hundreds of meters away, he could feel his soul trembling. It was hard to imagine what kind of attack Tianyang's soul was enduring as the target of Nangong attack. Soul-severing spear? Soul-severing? However, facing this spear, Tianyang only chuckled. Not long ago, there was someone like you who wanted to mess with my soul. It's a pity that he's dead. Tianyang chuckled. Then, the Thunder God's sword unleashed its full power. The soul-severing spear's so-called soul-severing spear was useless against Tianyang, whose soul had reached the peak of the Heaven Ascension realm. However, Tianyang's Thunder God's sword was truly powerful. Boom! Boom! Thousands of thunderbolts began to roar. In the middle, the sword light that contained the power of void lightning shone brightly. In an instant, it shattered Nangong defense and ruthlessly slashed Nangong armor. Boom! 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 Deafening explosions rang out. Nangong body trembled. Even with the armor protecting his body, he was sent flying by the sword. Blood spurted out of his mouth. He was in a much more miserable state than the flying sword. However, Tianyang did not let him go. He used the void-stepping secret technique and charged forward. Those who bully my friends die. Tianyang shouted coldly. The true essence in his body erupted. The 99 drops of sky origin true essence began to shine crazily, releasing boundless true essence. At the same time, the Sky Dragon Core also rapidly released thousands of dragon power and injected it into the killing sword. Heavenly Dragon King Sword, / Tianyang roared. The killing sword immediately evolved into the Heavenly Dragon Imperial Sword, and in the next moment, he slashed out. Roar! There seemed to be a dragon's roar coming from the unseen world. This sword strike even summoned the shadow of a huge dragon. It was accompanied by an unparalleled sword light that slashed towards Nangong. What? Nangong expression changed greatly when he saw this, and he was astounded to the extreme. He even felt that his life was threatened from this sword strike. If something went wrong, he might really die at the hands of Tianyang. Damn it! Sensing the approaching threat, Nangong expression immediately turned ugly. Then, he roared, low-grade Earth rank martial spirit, shadow demon. A terrifying demonic chi appeared on Nangong's body. Soon after, Nangong's eyes became pitch black. An Earth rank martial spirit could be possessed. The current Nangong had activated the shadow demon possession, causing his fighting strength to soar by countless times. Thousand Devil Slaughter Spear. The torrential demonic chi gathered, and in the next moment, it condensed on the huge spear in Nangong's hand. In the next moment, the spear stabbed out. With incomparable power, it directly bombarded the sword light. The real dragon roared, and the demonic chi filled the air. The two extremely powerful energies started a crazy confrontation. There's actually someone who uses the extraterrestrial demon as his martial spirit? Seeing this, Tianyang's face turned slightly gloomy. He looked at the shadow demon chi on Nangong's body and said, "The extraterrestrial demon is not a product of Heaven Continent. It's impossible for his martial spirit to be the extraterrestrial demon. In other words, the Nangong family is definitely related to the extraterrestrial demon. The extraterrestrial demon was the enemy of countless living beings in Heaven Continent. Everyone had the right to kill them. However, on Nangongzhen's body, Heavenly Sun actually saw the shadow demon of the otherworldly demons. Although the shadow demon was not a very strong demon, and it was slightly weaker than the illusion demon, it was still an extraterrestrial demon. The appearance of the extraterrestrial demon on a human's body immediately made Tianyang, who had a strong sense of danger, feel that something was wrong. There's definitely something wrong with the Nangong family. Tianyang's expression changed slightly. At this moment, Nangongzhen had already activated all the shadow demon's power and charged towards the slash of the heavenly dragon imperial sword. This slash was purely condensed from the dragon's power, and there was no martial skill involved. Therefore, after Nangongzhen almost burned his true essence, this slash was also broken. Haha. Tianyang, you're the first person to see my martial spirit. As the price for seeing my martial spirit, you can die for me. Nangongzhen roared. In the next moment, he raised the huge spear in his hand. The true essence in his body burned again, and he charged towards Tianyang. Thousand Demon Storm Spear. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression froze slightly, and he snorted coldly. Sky Extreme Sword Art, Sky Shattering. The Annihilation Spirit Fire burned. The sky-shattering sword, along with the endless annihilation sword intent, fiercely slashed towards the Thousand Demon Storm Spear. The pitch-black annihilation sword light even tore apart the space along the way. The majestic annihilation sword intent also caused Nangongzhen's expression to change. How is this possible? How could this little bastard release such a terrifying sword move? Nangongzhen's heart was in turmoil as he looked at Tianyang in disbelief. As for Tianyang, he would not give Nangongzhen even the slightest chance. Die! Tianyang shouted coldly. In the next moment, the annihilation sword light's speed instantly increased and heavily slashed onto the Thousand Demon Storm Spear. Boom! 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 This sword contained the power of the heavenly sword, and it had an obvious restraining effect on the demonic chi of the outer realm demon. In less than a second of contact, the power of the Thousand Demon Storm Spear was reduced by more than half. Then, the annihilation sword intent exploded, and the spear was directly shattered. That extremely tyrannical annihilation sword intent even slashed the low-grade spirit artifact giant spear into pieces. Immediately after, it carried a boundless sword light as it charged towards Nangongzhen. Boom! With a loud explosion, the armor on Nangongzhen's body immediately turned into countless fragments and scattered in all directions. Even Nangongzhen himself was sent flying. His face was extremely pale, and blood mixed with fragments of his internal organs crazily spurted out. Many of his bones were also broken. With one sword, Nangongzhen was heavily injured and on the verge of death. Damn it! Nangongzhen roared and looked at Tianyang in disbelief. As the strongest genius of the Nangong family's younger generation, he was actually heavily injured by Tianyang's sword? He was the person who received the inheritance of the shadow demon. However, the blood that kept spurting out of his mouth told Nangongzhen that he was not far from death. Even with the help of a rank 5 pill, it was impossible for him to survive. Even if I die, you won't have an easy time. Nangongzhen roared crazily. In the next moment, light flashed in his hand, and a bright crystal appeared in his hand. Blood Demon Formation, activate! The bright crystal was crushed by Nangongzhen. The crystal fragments scattered in all directions, and the formation runes buried underground also began to glow. Then, a bloody and terrifying pressure suppressed the entire area. In midair, a blood-red half-body battle spirit holding a giant axe slowly appeared. Chapter 381. The incomparably huge blood-colored battle spirit slowly floated in the sky. An indescribably powerful and terrifying aura exploded, causing everyone to be unable to breathe. It was as if the blood demon battle spirit itself had an incomparably strong bloody aura. For a time, the surroundings immediately became like a sea of corpses. This flying sword sucked in a breath of cold air and stared at the incomparably huge blood demon battle spirit in the sky. This blood demon battle spirit only had an upper body. Its lower body was like a ghost, but just its upper body alone was 100 feet tall. The blood axe in its hand was incomparably tyrannical, as if it could split the mountains and split the earth with a single chop. Ha ha! Seeing this, Nangong Zhen laughed wildly. Blood demon formation, blood demon battle spirit. Kill him for me. Hearing this, the giant battle spirit in armor immediately opened its eyes. A blinding crimson light burst out from its eyes, and a powerful pressure instantly burst out. The earth collapsed and the mountains were destroyed. Even Nangong Zhen himself could not withstand this terrifying pressure and suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. It's actually the blood demon. It can't be killed, and its attack power is ridiculously high. It's just a disgusting guy. Tianyang looked at the blood demon battle spirit in the air with a slightly dignified expression. This blood demon, in terms of rank, was far inferior to the illusion demon. However, in terms of pure strength, the blood demon was much stronger than the illusion demon. This blood devil formation is a formation that I condensed after slaughtering a total of 50 cultivators and using their blood as a sacrifice. The summoned blood demon battle spirit has the terrifying combat power of the third heaven of the Dao fire realm. Tianyang, just wait for your death. Nangong Zhen laughed wildly. Even though he was lying on the ground and could not stand up, he had already confirmed it. He, Nangong Zhen, had won this battle. Blood demon, kill him! Nangong Zhen roared, and in the next moment, the blood demon battle spirit moved. The 100-feet body immediately disappeared on the spot, and a terrifying blood light appeared in front of Tianyang in the blink of an eye. In the next moment, a huge blood axe chopped down. Humph! Tianyang snorted coldly, and a surging aura erupted from his body. In the next moment, he used the void stepping secret technique and directly attacked. Boom! The sword and blood axe collided, and in the next moment, the blood demon battle spirit's eyes flashed with blood, and it attacked again. Roar! The blood demon battle spirit roared. It raised its blood axe and rushed towards Heavenly Sun once more. Sky Extreme Sword Art, First Sword, Soaring Heavens. Boom! Another terrifying explosion rang out as the sharp sword light and the blood axe fiercely collided. Energy ripples erupted in all directions, and an extremely terrifying shockwave immediately spread out in all directions. Bang! The cave that the flying sword was in was completely destroyed, and huge rocks flew everywhere. Seeing this, Nangong Zhen's expression changed slightly, and he looked at Tianyang in shock. The blood demon battle spirit was at the peak of the third heaven of the Dao fire realm, but Tianyang was able to fight against it. No. Impossible! Nangong Zhen roared, unable to accept this shocking fact. How could a commoner be so powerful? Compared to him, Nangong Zhen, he was much stronger. Kill him! Kill him for me! Nangong Zhen pointed at Tianyang and roared. Blood demon battle spirit's eyes flashed, and blood chi condensed on the giant axe. The 50 people who were sacrificed were all powerful cultivators at the peak of the Dao fire realm. Their blood and strength were also extremely powerful. Now they were controlled by the blood demon, who had the strongest control over the power of blood in the demon clan. It was easy to imagine what kind of power they would unleash. Blood demon sky-splitting axe. The blood demon battle spirit roared, and in the next moment, the giant axe in his hand slashed down heavily. Wherever the axe passed, the space shattered, the mountains exploded, and even the earth trembled. Even the air was split by the axe. The power of the third heaven of the Dao fire realm was terrifying. Blood demon sky-splitting axe? You've caused me quite a bit of trouble back then, but now, you want to kill me with this trashy axe of yours. Tianyang chuckled, and the killing sword in his hand flashed. An extremely terrifying aura suddenly erupted from Tianyang's body. Martial soul talent, Devouring heaven. Once the devouring heaven was unleashed, the power of the earth under his feet, the power of the surrounding space, and the vitality of the flowers and trees were all extracted and injected into his body. In the next moment, Tianyang's aura began to rise steadily. Tao Fire Realm, First Heaven. Because he did not use his full strength, the devouring heaven's secret skill this time did not bring as much improvement to Tianyang as compared to when he fought against Huanma, but killing the blood demon was easy. Tianyang sneered and immediately picked up the killing sword. The true origin in his body began to erupt wildly. With the power of the first heaven of the Tao Fire Realm, it was easy to break the blood demon sky-splitting axe. Heavenly Dragon Emperor Sword. Tianyang roared, and in the next moment, monstrous dragon power erupted, condensing on the killing sword as he slashed out. A dragon roar sounded, and the majestic dragon power directly turned into a golden dragon, bombarding the blood demon sky-splitting axe. Boom, boom, boom. A terrifying explosion erupted, and the heavenly dragon emperor's sword expanded in the wind. It was about the same size as the blood demon sky-splitting axe. The majestic dragon power and the blood demon power began to crazily clash. Still not enough? Seeing that his sword was unable to break the blood demon sky-splitting axe, Tianyang sneered, "Then let's add more fuel to the fire." Sky Extreme Sword Technique. Second sword, shatter the sky. The destructive sword light burst out, and the pitch-black destructive power, along with the terrifying spiritual fire, violently attacked. In the next moment, the blood demon sky-splitting axe instantly exploded. Boom! The power of the blood demon exploded, and the blood demon sky-splitting axe was completely shattered. The blood demon fighting spirit's body shook, and it was directly sent flying by the sword. On the sturdy armor, a deep crack was directly cut open by the sword. What? Seeing this, Nangongzhen's face changed, and he looked at Tianyang in horror. Tianyang, who was just an ant at the peak of the half-step to the Tao Fire Realm, had actually reached the first heaven of the Tao Fire Realm? Moreover, he had broken the blood demon sky-splitting axe, and almost severely injured the blood demon fighting spirit. This is definitely an extremely powerful secret skill. Nangongzhen's body shook, and his face was filled with greed. If I can obtain this secret skill, my strength will definitely skyrocket. At that time, even Xiao Hongqian will be killed by my spear. Nangongzhen muttered to himself. In the next moment, his face was filled with passion. He bit the tip of his tongue, and a mouthful of blood essence flew out. Blood demon fighting spirit, kill him! Roar! With the support of the blood essence, the blood demon fighting spirit immediately roared, and its aura skyrocketed again. Tianyang's face darkened, and he looked coldly at Nangongzhen. Not only did he summon the otherworld demon, but he also allowed it to increase its strength. Nangongzhen and the Nangong family had been placed on Tianyang's must-kill list. The blood demon fighting spirit roared again, and in the next moment it swung the giant axe. The power of the blood demon exploded, and it directly attacked Tianyang.